Stocks back to the upside here so far this morning as we get going into a jam-packed week on the economic calendar. We'll get into that detailed coming up here in a few minutes. To start things off, though, that's how the overall S&P 500 is looking, basically at the levels we went out at on Friday. Just reading a headline suggesting the Strait of Hormuz seeing the highest ship traffic currently today so far than it's seen in more than 2.5 months. So that could be a positive or a sign of a step in the right direction here as yet another Trump deadline looms here for Iran as far as what happened over the weekend. Lots of truthing by President Trump in a not very friendly manner. Let's just put it that way. Whether or not they'll actually come through with some sort of deal on the back of that remains to be seen. But as I mentioned off the top, Joseph beside me once again this morning, we get GDP this week, we get PCE this week, we get CPI this week, and then we're right into earnings next week. So action-packed. Strap in.
Friday we had unemployment as well too, so that came in a little bit better than expected. Yeah. So that's positive. A basis point better than expected, guys. Welcome and good morning. Yes, a lot going on. We had on Thursday we had the market pop saying that Iran was being prepared or preparing to have a draft set up for you can get a clearance through the Strait of Hormuz as well too. So a lot going on in the market this week, that's for sure.
Yeah, good point. We got that jobs number back on Friday when everyone was stuffing their faces, or at least I hope you were, for Good Friday, and a little bit better than expected. So market kind of shrugging that off here this morning. We did get the futures moving higher initially on that. Did come back essentially, as I said, we're starting the day here basically right where we ended on Friday. If you remember, it was just up and away all day on Friday. Lots to look forward to, guys. We are just moments away from earnings season kicking off as well, with the banks obviously traditionally to kick things off here. But a lot of economic data to get through before we get to that. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday, everybody. Hope everyone had a good Easter long weekend. And so far, so good. I mean, we'll take it. And you know what? The other thing, too, is that we get to see a flyby by the moon on at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it's the closest they've been in 60 years, apparently.
Yeah, closest we've been in 60 years. The farthest humans have ever gone away from the Earth. So you're going to see maybe some of the space names. Last week, SpaceX, they filed for their IPO. They were moving. Planet Labs is going to be, that was a runner. That was big time in play on Friday. ASCS as well. So I think these names will be fun to watch. That's for a little bit of continuation. So far, so good. I mean, it feels like the markets are pretty optimistic about, so far at least, what's going to happen tomorrow. We'll see with this deadline. But I'm not 100% sure it's going to be all roses. But for now, things are looking pretty strong. Bitcoin almost touched 70K. It's like 69.5. That's looking pretty good. And Oracle naming Hillary Maxson as CFO. Well, maybe that'll get Oracle going. But yeah, some space stocks on the mind, crypto on the mind this morning. Obviously, oil. It's good that we're not up, but we're only down. US oil's like down 1%. Like, it's nothing too crazy so far here. Like, I feel like it's good, but
oh gosh,
okay.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, Randy's in the house.
They brought breakfast already, huh, Randy?
Oh, he's throwing the bananas.
What the hell?
Well, I mean, when they're this not ripe.
Some bruises? I don't want some bruises on
these. You can't bruise these. They're still green.
They're frozen.
Yeah, frozen like and green.
What's going on, everybody? It should be a good day here today. Yeah, here's crude oil down 1%. I wasn't sure after Brendan sort of mentioned some of those tweets a little flying off the cuff there a little bit yesterday, I felt like. But yeah, nice move to the upside right now. Wait to see what winds up happening with oil. Just upside right now, down that 1%, as Brendan said. We kind of were up and away there on Friday, and we'll have to figure out where we go now from here with USO also topping near that 140 marker. You sit here and you laugh, but it's a continuous move higher here in this space. I think we're gonna. I like the fact that the Strait is now open a little bit, so I think we can maybe think about going short oil, but I don't know if that's the case. And then JP Morgan and everybody, the 14th kicks off earnings, so we can see. I mean, JP Morgan's up 42% year over year, something like that. So it's like there's really nothing to worry about in the financials, but it has taken a move down. So I think this is where we talked about last week, where you can maybe sit and hide out for a while. I think banks will come up with good earnings. And I think they'll be okay. But, hiding out in something before earnings is dangerous. But, yeah, down where we were, and this is why it's kind of like year over year, you're picking and choosing, because down here was last April where we had all this drama. So it is a nice little move from the very bottoms. But obviously, if you just go back into the summertime, you're flat, right? So it's been kind of a steady pace here for the markets in the banking sector. And yeah, interesting story there about Oracle. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about all these, the insiders here and who's being what position and all that. But this Hillary, their new CFO. So should be good for Oracle, I guess. I don't know. Not a, you're looking for the CEOs or, maybe new board members and stuff. But CFO is going to be good. But yeah, Oracle right there off the bottom. We saw some of the software stocks last week. The IGV sort of make a little bit of a bump back there with Microsoft at a forward PE of just 21. Oracle something probably pretty similar. I have to go look at that. And again, a nice little bottom being formed here potentially for Oracle in and around that 140. And then here's Softy. Again, potentially one of the better deals right now. If you consider the market in deal mode, maybe Microsoft with that PE there of 21 might be pretty good. But yeah, who knows? There's lots to talk about. I think we're going to be a busy one here today.
Yeah, a little bit busy, but you know what? If you happen to be an equity trader looking to scale, Prop Shop Trader is a multi-asset proprietary trading firm designed to remove the typical barriers that traders face. You can trade stocks without pattern day trading restrictions and no licensing requirements, while also accessing futures markets within the same environment. Prop Shop Trader offers both day trading and swing trading programs, giving traders the flexibility to manage multiple accounts and deploy different strategies. Why risk your own capital when you don't have to? Scan the QR code to unlock 60% off your first account, plus buy one, get one free. Get started today. You can scan that QR code you see out in front of you. Everybody, I do believe I just saw, we just got a super chat from JK. JKL starting it off early. What do we got? The non-beach report.
What happened?
Uh-oh, we're back in the office.
What the?
Oh, no.
Short.
Short Bitcoin from 70K. Oh, JKL.
Sorry about being back in the office, but it's good. You can be in front of your screens
now,
so maybe that's okay. And short in front, or short from 70K.
Well, if you look at what happened, it's like history doesn't have to repeat itself, but it's rhyming today. And the last time, here, I guess if I show you, here, that's that little trend line thing where we had the support off the recent low at 60K, and then this little consolidation, which I'm zoomed in on. We've broken that trend line a couple times and failed it. This one goes into the 70,000 early, and we've already tested and pulled back from 70K. Mm-hmm. So to me, like if you can't get back above there or retest to, I wanted to say 68 is where some support is. The 68.8 level looks like it could be coming in first things first. But if you fail, like if we immediately fail this top, that's pretty much what we've been doing before on Bitcoin. That said, it's still in an upward trend. If it can hold the top end over the trend and retake 70, there is some bullishness if it can do that. It's just failed every single time on this trend line. So I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to BTC. IBIT's on my radar as well, JKL. So yeah. And oh, you know what? I just saw Jay Vandaway.
Jay Vandaway.
In the chat, they're just mentioning. Guess what broke $100? Well,
oh, good.
Yeah, Netflix. Yeah, the Netflix 100.
Boom.
You don't really get the break per se because we were looking for this going into at the end of last week, but it's above $100, so should be on radars. Really, the story was once the deal went from Warner Brothers to actually the Warner Brothers deal went to Paramount Skydance. You had the Netflix breaking out and. It hit 100, pulled back to 90, and now you get the break away from 100. I like to buy the dip today, hopefully. I don't know if we'll get the chance at 100 again. Even if it retook underneath 100, there's some support at 99. Yeah, so Netflix definitely on the radar today. Just it won't be the breakout trade they were talking about last week in terms of going long through $100.
For me, that Bitcoin, yeah, I love the Netflix trade. That was one of the better buys. Like I sat in there and bought that at 80, I was gonna say between like 83 and 86. I can't remember the exact price. Let's go with the high side, let's say 86. But yeah, I think what Neil was saying makes sense there. I worry that Bitcoin has formed, and I bought at 66,000 on the way in. Like that was a while ago. So it's not like I bought it thinking that there was going to be support there. I just thought it was a little overcooked. But right now you are seeing good support here between like 66 to 60, 64 to 66. So I think if you were short, that would be definitely a great cover. And I do think the risk is to the upside right now. So I would just say JKL, obviously, the man in the golden thong from last week, made some great calls on USO and on silver. So let's wait to see what happens with Bitcoin. But for me, I think it's a risky trade, and I think that you'll be appropriate with it. Look, I mean, the way the market's going, right? I think the Nasdaq could fall back into negative territory today. So if that happens, I definitely would think that IBIT comes back in as well. So it could be a good trade for sure. So thank you for the super chat and best of luck for that. Thanks, Randy, for the reload of our coffees over here. And it should be a good one. Yeah, oil on the mind there. Tesla has some news today. IBIT's up that 4%, as you just mentioned. There's a new deal, but it's not much going on that side of things. And let me just check on our daily look early on NVIDIA. I haven't really even charted this yet. 178 upside move. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to be risk on or off day. So I don't know. I didn't really, pretty aggressive terminology and whatnot coming from the president and wording on the weekend there. So I thought the market would be a little different maybe coming in today than where it is. It's the NASDAQ that's doing the heavy lifting. The ES is flat. So as oil names coming back to the downside a little bit, some of these NASDAQ names are getting pumped up a bit here. I saw Apple was trying to do some moves. They're off that 250 from Friday. And that's it's not up that much, but it's trying to break. This is what I'm talking about right into here. So we can see if Apple wants to get going through this level, that could help spark the market. But if we get another rejection at 257, then potentially back into 250. I think Apple has a 3 handle on it soon. So I really like that stock. I think even after earnings, I think we're going to see something from Apple. I really like their tie-up with Gemini. I think, the fact that their CapEx numbers don't have to be huge, I think is going to be a big benefit for the spend and the cash hoard here for Apple. So, but here we go, man. Bitcoin was at 69.6 or so. It's coming back in just a little bit. So thanks for the super chat. We're ready to rock and roll. It's oil, it's tech, and it's a Monday. And it's a stat holiday around here. I don't know what it is in the United States, but
European markets are all mostly
closed. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if it's all, but mostly closed in Europe. So it's
kids are off school. I'm probably off school in the States too. There, but okay, we'll go back. There was that. What we're talking about was that 45-day ceasefire coming, right? So that could be something that we're going to talk about today and wait. So Trump, you mentioned. I know. Oh, you didn't. Oh, did you mention it? They're speaking at 1 o'clock. I think one of us, maybe someone did.
I think Brendan mentioned.
Trump today. Oh no, you mentioned the orbiting. That's right. Yeah, Trump is today at 1 o'clock. So I think he's going to be ready to rock and roll by the time that happens. So the midday show and plus everything that we hear right now coming from the Strait. Will it be open? Will it not? Are more ships traveling through? Brendan gave us that report earlier. Looks like one of the most busiest days since this escalation is today. So we'll have to watch out for oil coming through. And then just a quick look. I know we're talking a lot. We'll get it back to the boys. Gold right now as well. So gold and silver today, not doing a whole heck of a lot. So it seems like the market's just trying to figure itself out, and we'll get answers to that. It's only 8:13, so lots to go here. Makes sense to look at the stocks that are moving around, the cryptos of the world. Tesla potentially has some stories behind it there, and I like that Apple trade. So with oil. All right, let's go back over to the desk and talk some more stories.
You were talking about the Jays before we came on there. My wife just messaged me and she was like, "Why are all the Jays hurt?"
Yeah, everyone's hurt. Alejandro's hurt.
It's bad.
Trey's off.
It's really bad, honestly.
It's tough.
IBIT coming back in, as you guys were just mentioning. You and I were just talking about Michael Saylor was busy last week once again. What was it? 4,871 he picked up last week. Now holds a total of 767,000.
More up a little bit more, and I was just typing in a little bit of numbers here. So we were saying, hey, if it were to ever go to zero, and we talked about Michael Saylor with the possibility of liquidation, no, he will never. He will never get liquidated. But if it does, and it happens to go to zero, which is very unlikely, that's a loss of $57 billion. Just like
I mean,
that.
We laugh, but
which is absolutely insane.
Just mind-boggling.
You also have to take into consideration how much unrealized gains he lost off of that 126 peak as well, too, which is an insane amount.
He's loading up again. I mean, I think he took a couple of weeks off, but it looks like, anyways, last week was the first week in a while that he was back in there buying once again. So 3.67% now, entire float is going over to Mr.
He wants to be the bank to issue digital credit, and that's his objective. So, yeah. I mean, 1 million Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised if he achieves that at one point.
And if anybody's wondering on that liquidation side, it was 67,000 was the average price currently, or 67. They're about 67,000 and change. So the way he's issuing debt on I think it's 20 year and longer duration. Even when the first year, I was reading this going back a month or so ago, even when the first year of potential redemption comes through, they already have enough cash on hand to be able to reimburse all of those debt holders. So he can just continue to issue stock and keep buying here. So anyways, a couple of other things going on. Tesla just popped up on my screen here. Canaccord Genuity reiterating their buy rating this morning here for Tesla. Had another ugly day on Friday, but was trying to get back higher here this morning in the pre-market. We're coming off a little bit. Didn't move at all on that number, but remember the delivery numbers weaker than expected that came out last week. But yeah, Canaccord Genuity, 420 price target. Q1 deliveries, 358,000, slightly missing estimates if you missed that last week. So we'll keep an eye on Tesla here again this week.
Yeah, and the NHTSA also investigation coming to an end, just saying, hey, it's not really, there's nothing really there as well, too. Some of the collisions, it's when you summon the vehicle from a parking spot, it can come and meet you somewhere.
That's always
just like, they're too minor and there is no serious injury, so they're just kind of tossing it overboard.
I was at a restaurant, this is going back a couple months ago, but I was at a restaurant with a guy who was driving a Model X, and we, finished dinner, came outside, we were standing on the sidewalk just exchanging pleasantries before we went on our way. And I saw him reach in his pocket and pull out his
call it.
Yeah, and the car started coming. And it's so trippy to see
that's the world that we need to live in, I think, Brent. So, like we talking about the robo-taxi being $30,000 as well, too. No steering wheel, no pedal. You're not in charge. You just let the software do the work for you, essentially, right?
At some point, though, it's like, I mean, you can just walk across the parking lot
and get to your vehicle.
I don't know.
But hey, why would you do that if you can just call your car to you at the end of the day?
That's another level of not moving. 350 though, guys. If you zoom way out, 350 on a weekly chart's dead center, stuck in the middle.
Tesla was pretty disappointing last week, if we're being, well, especially on, I wanted to say Thursday, especially on the way that the market was sort of able to bounce back, and Tesla was all yuck. Right, like you had the NASDAQ for most of it was just a big push, and there was like a slight boring afternoon malaise down that wasn't much, but the market held on, and Tesla couldn't. And it's just the deliveries weighing on it, valuation weighing on it. It's got this just absurd channel that's been flowing to the downside here. And you look at this and you just say, okay, well, when Tesla does something different, then you treat it a bit differently. And as long as it's in this, test to the low would be that 350 that Brendan was mentioning, which you can also find out here on the weekly as a big level. But we're just holding this channel down. So bounces off the bottom of the channel, shorts at the top. Don't think we have to worry about getting into that top here today after that deliveries miss. Slight story this morning, not as big as deliveries though with the TSA closing an investigation. But if it gets down to 350, I think that's where you look for a little bit of a bounce play here on Tesla. And it wasn't like they missed that much on the deliveries, but we've seen a lot of companies where their valuations are higher get a little bit hit. And on top of that, there's a lot of attention going to SpaceX, which hasn't really done much of a hype bump for Tesla. Like everyone seems jazzed up for this IPO, which is rightfully so. It's going to be the biggest one of the year whenever it does happen, some point in the summer, I guess it looks like. Maybe that has people thinking they're not as excited about Tesla, or maybe they're going to put money from one to the other. I don't think that should weigh on it, but the ball doesn't lie. So until it breaks this channel, hopefully it breaks the channel up, and then that would be a great breakout setup. It's just not there yet. I think you'll wait for it to hit that bottom at 350.
Yeah, I was just looking at Tesla myself, and I don't know if we're anywhere near anything yet. I mean, I think with SpaceX and everything coming out, it'll be probably, that'll send some sort of nervous hands in Tesla. We saw that with when he was looking to take over X, Twitter, right? And it was just a lot of people thinking that, okay, now he's focused a little bit maybe too much on Twitter and, you know, that sort of legal battle that pursued from that. And they were saying anyways, some of the analysts, that potentially the fact that he was focusing, you know, too much on that and left Tesla behind. I don't know if that's going to happen at all with SpaceX, but I could see that sort of being some of the rhetoric over the next little while. You know, we talked about JP Morgan being near some of those April lows, or up 40% from those April lows. Tesla still has a ways to go before we're anywhere near those kind of concern levels down there at 226. Tesla actually had such a great year, doubled from those April lows, more than doubled, right? 220 up to 500. Thing is, we touched that magical top one more time that was made back here in December, and it's just been fading ever since. And I just think that you're getting into now some areas of some decent support. You know, we know that the shift now is into Optimus, and they've stopped making the Model S's and Model X. I'm going to focus their business elsewhere. So I kind of like that. I still obviously see tons of these on the road, and I know that competition is getting a little more fierce. But at the end of the day, Tesla's more than just a car company at this point. You know, more of a pure play if you're looking at something EV related. I mean, Rivian, that's all that they're doing as far as I know right now. They're working on their full self-drive as well. And it looks very, very similar. I was going to say, this looks very, very similar to the Tesla chart. Why? Because it is Tesla. So hold on a second. Hit enter and get the updated chart right there. What I was trying to look at for Rivian was this very bottom, right? It just seems like right now, similarly to Tesla, you're running into some support. So between $13.50 to $14, I think if Rivian's going to come up with this R2 and it's going to be a popular model, then yeah, I mean, Rivian has a lot of room to go back up to the upside, and you're holding this 200 period moving average. So I think if you're going to go EV, I like Rivian. But as far as Tesla's goes, I still like the stock moving forward, and I still think as far as the power is concerned on that, you know, at home power, and then some of the other logistical options they have with the long freight, you know, they have also a few of those, you know, big rigs that they're going through as well. I think that could be a business for Tesla, although maybe not a major one. And then, of course, the robo-taxis. But yeah, Rivian, I think it's a good little level there. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the futures. Like right now, the NASDAQ is just absolutely flat right here. So it's hard to give sort of an opinion potentially on the market, but you've now broken below VWAP and looking to go a little lower. So I know we're talking about Tesla. I just think as the market, this is going to be a market story. Like, you know, we had the market come back in, Tesla came back in. Like, this is just what happens. And I'm actually surprised that this is not even a little higher based on just the oil price. People, you know, like I feel like right now gas is super expensive around here. I'm sure it's very similar to where you guys are. And Tesla's really not getting any flow through of that feels right now. So I'm a little disappointed in that as well. Thought that Tesla might be going a little bit based on the price of oil, and that doesn't seem to be happening either. So I think it's a broken stock for now, but it's up 1%, which is better than the market. So that's something there. Yeah, anyways, that's a little look there on Tesla. Just trying to see Jefferies raises oil price estimates. Here we go, me. Send this out right here to you right now. Boom, there it is right now. So, you know, with forecasting WTI at 70. Wait a minute, raises oil. Oh, to 70? Okay, so he's already low on it. With WTI expected to reach $81.79 and $75 by 2027. So I don't even know.
And that's sort of the thing, like if you even go further back out, like it's just, the markets are basically saying, even if you get this conflict resolved, the shock is there. Like you've shown the strain on the supply, and it'll take a while to get things back to normal. So the R word has been thrown out there a heck of a lot, and you got to watch out for how the yields have been going. And ultimately, it's just, it doesn't feel all systems go. It's a weird one. And then, forbid things actually escalate in 24 hours. Then all bets are off. I was like searching around for like what are some weak names if there's a bit of a turnaround here. Was reminded myself about SMCI and Nike from last week that both kind of, well, SMCI had its own news. I had a good day on Friday. Nike, of course, has stunk a little bit, but then SMCI wasn't close enough to resistance at 24. Threw it on the iPad. But I want to have some names out there that feel like they're decent fades. as well, because I'm not feeling super rosy. Like 1 point on USO is all we got. Like and this was, like, when you consider, like, it was a pretty hefty mover on Friday. Like oil prices, or Thursday, I should say, sorry. I'll make that mistake a bunch of times today. It was a big, hefty mover. I know the afternoon wasn't much, but you had a huge gap up, and then we had just monster volatility, especially with that $8 drop, and then it came all the way back. To just be sitting inside the Thursday range is a bit weird to me. But if we lose, we lose 136 here, that would be pretty bullish, and ultimately, we are kind of trending down toward it. So for now, there's a bit of strength in the market, just not nearly enough though. I really do not feel like this is.
Yeah, I know. That's
we had one up week out of the last 6, and you want to feel like continuation. I just can't get my hopes up. Like I listen, like everybody else. I think when you saw like the response from the president, like it didn't feel like that was going to be a good thing on coming Monday. Looking at the tone of it, but yet here we are up 1/3%, and I found myself unconvinced.
It's I think it's that 45-day ceasefire thing. Like I think that's
that'd be good.
That's holding the market up right now. I just wonder if that's what's happening. You know, I hope it is, and I think we have President Trump speaking at around 1 p.m. scheduled today. Doesn't mean he won't throughout the day. Adara's off again, but we have a great news source. I was just actually right here. We have Benzinga, but we also have a little news program here that we've sort of created as well. So, you know, we're going to be scanning through Twitter and different resources and whatnot to get these stories to you. So we're excited for, again, another big day. But yeah, Tesla up 1%. Looks like it's bucking the trend just a little bit. And there's the futures. Like the fact that we're hovering right around VWAP right now and not really doing anything definitely gives us some sort of an idea here of neutrality to start the morning. What's up, Brendo?
Shout out to our friends over at Medicus, MDCX, with a headline coming across here this morning. Medicus Pharma is submitted their optimized phase 2 study designed for the US FDA for their Traverolex targeting acute urinary retention in men with enlarged prostates. This updated study is focused on speed and capital efficiency with a smaller patient group, faster timelines, and early data read expected in about 12 weeks. Notably, the study is being led by Dr. Stephen Kaplan, a globally recognized leader in urology. There are currently no approved drugs to prevent reoccurrence of this condition, and Medicus is targeting a potential $2 billion market. MDCS, guys, Medicus Pharma, coming through with a headline there this morning. Let's bring in our friend Michael Nosh, joining us on a Monday to talk a little bit about what has been happening as well. I mean, not only last week, but going into another economic calendar heavy week, Mr. Nosh, with all eyes on True Social once again this morning and over the weekend with F-bombs flying and, you know, all kinds of nonsense going on between the U.S. and Iran. So give us an overview here from your perspective. Technically, where are we and what we need to know here going into a very important week?
Yeah, in my ultimate quest to shut out the noise, I've decided to try to get rid of Twitter on the weekend. So I only saw all that stuff this morning, which was fantastic. But technically, we are bouncing at a pretty perfect area. And, you know, I talk about this sometimes that when things are a little bit too perfect, I start to wonder a little bit. And this is like kind of picture perfect that we're seeing here in the market. So this chart is essentially just the purple line is the anchored VWAP, anchored to the very low of the tariff tantrum. And this is a weekly chart right here. So the average price of the average market participant, if you started to buy around the tariff tantrum, your price is like right at that purple line, which you can see we bounced like almost picture perfect at, which is, again, a little bit surprising. And I guess not. If you read Brian Shannon's book, I guess it should be doing that. But when the market acts that perfectly, you know, I start to get a little bit confused, a little bit wonder of what's going on. But the best part about this is that now we have an anchor for relative strength and relative weakness across the markets. And I get asked this all the time. Most people, when they look at relative strength, they're like, what, do I just buy the strongest thing? Do I just buy the stock that's up the most or the one that's done the best on the year? But the problem with that is there's a lot of, is your stock just volatile, more volatile than it? Is it, in a sector that just might be hot at that time? But by using something like an anchor to an anchored VWAP, you're basically saying, okay, it doesn't matter if you're a high beta stock or a low beta stock or whatever it is, this is where the market is. So if you're doing better than this, if you're holding above this anchored VWAP a little bit better, then there is some more relative strength there. People are selling a little bit less, they're buying a little bit more, and that's what we want to see. So I brought out a bunch of sector charts with some kind of themes that are interesting. The next one is MDY. So we went from the SPY, which is your mega caps, your giant companies, down to MDY, which is your mid caps. And these are, 10 billion to I think 50 billion or so. So, your middle companies. Most of these you probably actually haven't heard of because there's going to be a lot of, industrial names and regional banks in there. A lot of companies that are good, but not, household product names. And you can see didn't really touch that price, bounced well before that. And just overall, if you look at the SPY, had a down week 2 weeks ago and then an up week last week, and this one was about flat last week. And then, so it had 2 up weeks in a row, technically, holding above that level. The next chart here is your IWM. So now we're going down the cap scale again. These are your 2,000 smallest guys, right? Mom, pa kind of companies. And the same stories. They held up better 2 weeks ago and even further above that anchored VWAP. And then you can see the horizontal purple line I drew just to show that was the high in 2021 and then the high again in 2025. And we held that pretty perfectly there as well. Next chart here is your IWC, which is not a very liquid ETF, so I don't really watch this on a daily chart, but on a weekly chart, it's interesting. This is your micro caps. So this is companies up to $2 billion. So your little tiny guys. And you can see more of the same story, relatively outperforming the S&P 500 and holding well above that VWAP, not really touching that. And the reason for that is in this last chart. And this last chart is the MAGS, or the MAG 7 companies. So this is just an equal weight version of all of the MAG 7 names. It's a great ETF if you just want to track what these guys are doing. You can see weeks ago, broke down under that VWAP from the tariff tantrum low, hasn't been able to get above. So the beauty of being able to find a anchor point like this that makes sense is that you're very easily able to just to go through chart after chart and see where is there more strength and where is there weaker strength, while taking out whether or not your stock is just high vol or beta or just moving because it's a kind of a crazy stock that moves. It's a pretty clear thing here that we are moving away from, and have been some time, a lot of these MAG 7 names. And relatively speaking, we're getting smaller companies and mid-cap companies kind of catching up and doing much better. So I don't know if this is a rate story or if it's just a how much bigger can NVIDIA get story, but it seems to be, at least, that we've been talking about this for months now, this rotation continues. So if you're someone who's looking at the SPY, everything looked a lot worse than if you were someone looking at the small caps or the mid caps. So better hunting ground anyway. You're talking 2,000 names versus 500. I just think based off the charts that I'm seeing, looks like that trend's going to continue.
And something we've been talking about going back a couple of months now, right back to the beginning of the year. That's a perfect visual indication of if you had to sum up this year. Just go back through those 3 or 4 charts that we showed you to get a perspective of what has happened. If you go down to the next level, then, is there an area in this group where you actually might, look at an individual name, look at finding an individual trade?
Yeah, well, what I'm looking down, I've got Claude working right now, and what he's doing with my back tester is actually going through and grabbing individual stocks from the Russell 2000 and saying, show me ones that are nowhere near this anchored VWAP. So I think you can do the same exercise on the individual level. So for example, mid caps. I like trading mid caps. A lot of people like trading mid caps because you're leaving a lot of the junk behind in small caps. To be a mid cap company, you have to be a pretty good, profitable, cash secure type company. But you still have room to grow because you can get bigger. If you're NVIDIA, like how much bigger can you actually get? So that area is interesting to me. So you could either programmatically or with AI assistance go through them, or just manually and just start finding and drawing those names. Industrials in those space actually still look really strong here.
There's been a lot of focus and a lot of attention on space, everything related to space of late, the past couple of weeks. I saw a few people mentioning this morning those stocks even holding up a little bit better than the market. If you go back to the end of last week, big day, up day, obviously on Friday, or on Thursday rather, not Friday. But if you had to, throw out a one or two here that you're looking at, anything top of mind?
Well, I own some of this, and it's a smaller company, so I just want to disclose that I have some. But I do like the chart. I don't have it with it, but it's an SATL. It's a Satellogic. It's one of those same names. I remember I brought you guys the charts a couple weeks ago of the space names, and they look great. Yeah, there it is perfectly. And I just look, if you zoom way out, this $5 area that it bounced off last week has been super important for this name. But again, very small cap, very speculative, right? Be very, very careful. And I'm talking my book. I'm in from 5. So I just want to put all those disclaimers out there. But I think like most things, you can start to, as there's more talk of the SpaceX IPO, and really, this might be controversial, I bucket these in the same group as industrials because I think they're going to have to work together. If you're going to start launching rockets, you're going to need the Caterpillars of the world. You're going to need a lot of these industrial, like giant machine manufacturing kind of guys. So I think you look at this as a high beta industrial play. If industrials continue, then I think these space stocks continue with them, and you're going to get way more juice in like an ASTS or a Rocket Lab or an SATL than you will in a Caterpillar. But I think it's kind of the same story. It's just big, giant machines doing real-world things. So if you want to go lower, if you're a little bit worried about some of these names, then maybe a Caterpillar, or John Deere, or something like that. But if you want to go crazy, there's a lot of these crazy space names out there.
Maybe a conversation for another day, Friday, or even into next week. We're right around the corner here from earnings season. Could potentially be the first opportunity that we start to see some of those other areas of the market that we've been talking about since the beginning of the year, outside of the Mag 7 and tech in general, starting to post some earnings reports and maybe even forecasts on the back of essentially what you were just saying, that are better than we have seen for quite some time versus even tech. General thoughts here ahead of earnings season.
Yeah, and I have a perfect chart that I saw this weekend. I think it was Duality Research. I'll bring it on Friday, but actually showed that we're actually getting a divergence in the S&P 500 for the first time in ages of earnings and the stock price, where as of the last earnings season, the components of the S&P 500 made more money than they ever had in history. And generally speaking, stocks and earnings will move together. If you have large downturns in stocks, it's because they're making less money. And, if the stocks are going up, it's generally because they're making more money. And we're getting that split for the first time ever, which essentially means that we're getting multiple compression. Is that stocks right now are getting cheaper because they're making more money and they're not really getting the benefit of that making more money. So if that trend continues for any length of time, it's one of those divergences in which something has to break. Either earnings has to tick back down and the market was just forward looking in the fact that we're going to have some earnings degradation, or we're going to have prices tick back up. So it's a really interesting quarter. I think it's going to be one of the most important out there because you don't see multiple quarters of this divergence happening. So I think it's like a do or die period for the whole AI making us all more money. And we've got this quarter and maybe next. And if not, then it turns out that price was right. And then we start to see earnings pull back with it.
It's definitely been heading in that direction as far as, the spend. We've talked about it in depth for tech in general. But yeah, fascinating. We'll see how that plays out. Michael Noss, great stuff. We'll catch up again on Friday.
I'll talk to you Friday. Have a good one, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Michael. And people
I like that idea.
Yeah, people looking at some space names, and I know he mentioned a small one in there, and there was a question while that was going on about Planet Labs, which, hey, it's in the space, pun absolutely intended. It's on the watch list today. It was big time mover on Friday. I'd say one of the cleaner charts I suppose, on Friday, maybe into here, let me move that out of the way so you can see, maybe into a bit of a 37 double top. This needs to break. This is like a clean case of, well, you've gone far enough. Either you fill in a little portion of the gap for dip buys, or this needs to break out that 37 spot for sure. But it's definitely a good one out here. You're going to be watching it. The volume's only okay. Most of the bigger volume was going to be on Friday. I don't know if it'll do more. Thursday. I don't know if it'll do more today, and pre-market a little bit light, but worth a watch in here as well. Let's get to the super chat here, Anji. Throw it up there for us. What do we have? We've got Golf Franchise.
Ooh,
yeah.
Masters Week.
Without you-know-who, the top 3 best-performing U.S. consumer cyclical stocks indicate a stretched consumer. 5, Rost, where Sean got that shirt, and TJX as well.
Ross stores, eh?
Yeah, Ross stores, 5 below. TJX as well.
Yeah, thanks about the shirt. I have no idea where we got this one, but probably like a Winners or Ross stores or something like that. It's probably close to being right. Yeah, look, I mean, I think that when we talk about the retailers, TJX has been a big winner. Some of these, what do they call them, like off-rack stores or whatever, where you get, maybe last year's models or fashion, so on and so forth, a little bit of cheaper brands. We have stores here like a Winners or a Marshalls or like a HomeSense, things like that. And so, yeah, TJX has really been working out. I mean, I have Target in the account there with a 4% dividend. I really like Target. That's really grown on me as well. And then Walmart's been traded really nice. But I think that, yeah, these consumer names continue to go higher. And I'm surprised at how strong some of these names continue to be. We have higher end, retailers like a Macy's and stuff like that. That's not creating the same bump that those Ross stores and I have to look at ROST, but TJX, you can see it's almost in the opposite here as we have TJX pushing highs, Macy's pushing lows. And we've had big box stores close. Many of the big, huge malls around here now have some of the biggest retail spaces completely empty, as we had a company here called Hudson's Bay Company. They went bankrupt and unable to get out of receivership there, and nobody wants their stores either. So they're being filled up by restaurants or whatever in some of these big malls. And then TJX, and a lot of these discounted places continue to be pretty strong. And it's in the, SPG, the Simon. I like Simon Property Group. I mean, some of these outdoor malls, when I think about, where in here in Canada, where like a Winners are, or where some of the shopping tends to be, it's in these like bigger outdoor complexes. So Simon Property Group, one of the largest mall and real estate, their owners in the United States, Simon Property Group management companies in the United States. So you can watch out for SPG. But yeah, I think the consumer could be okay here as long as we don't, slip into. I think GDP is going to get lowered. I think the higher oil prices are going to definitely affect.
Its way through. Yeah.
Well, exactly, will work its way through. And so I expect to have a little bit of a tough go here, I think, in some of the retail names moving forward. I mean, just less money in the pockets of the consumers, right? And I think a lot of that story is energy based. So we'll have to wait to see how that trickles through. I think that's a good way of putting it. So
and one retail name, not to beat a dead horse or kick them while they're down. Nike's not down today. Nike's flat today. So remember, they got woodshedded, and this seems like a pure continuation play, so long as it holds under. I think I said 45 on Friday or Thursday, and I'll stick to that as a bit of a key level. If not, the initial close price after their earnings, which was like 44.7. But until proven otherwise, these guys are broken pretty decisively, down to 10-year or 11-year lows. And if there's if you're starting to throw on the R word and you think that the consumer is stretched, well, you had 3 charts up there that all look pretty good and one which looks absolute trash at this point for Nike. I do think there's going to be a turnaround at some point. Maybe the brand is good enough. They do a ton of sales, but there's just been no bottom in sight, and they're not cheap enough. You heard Michael talk about multiples and how there's a bit of compression going on. Well, it's not just in the good names. Like Nike is one of those. Everyone's like, yeah, but how can it be so bad? How can the stock price be so bad when they churn so much money and they have so much brand loyalty and they do so much in sales? It's because it's still not cheap and the growth isn't there to justify it anymore. So a name like this is getting hit, and if there's enough strength in this market, I don't know that necessarily is true, to maybe get it back into to 45. I think this can be a bit of a fade today. Yeah, Nike going to be on watch for sure for me as a retail name. Can't avoid it, and we're getting into earnings season. These guys are happy to have gotten out of it so that attention can go elsewhere.
As a note on CrowdStrike, CRWD didn't really move on it, but worth a note, 401 got taken out there. Very, very light in volume so far this morning. Just announcing a $500 million increase to their share buyback program, current share buyback program. This brings the total authorized amount of the program up to $1.5 billion for CRWD. Another one that has been in quite the drawdown here, $380 is actually this level. If you zoom way, way out, when's that? That's, you got to go all the way back to 2024. That initial high from 2024 still holding as support here. But I mean, the cybersecurity space was initially caught up in this whole software Mageddon, if you want to go back to that again, but trying to hold here on key levels.
Trying to hold, so that buyback is going to be about roughly 400,000, a little bit more than 400,000 shares. But yeah, this name, I personally had it for one of my picks. I just figured, I didn't think with all this AI movement that the cybersecurity be one of the first things off the shelf, essentially. And some of these names have been hit really hard. The PanWs, the Zscalers, Zscaler down 60% off of its highs. And then we have CrowdStrike down substantially as well, too. So a lot of these cybersecurity names hitting bear market territory, like the Mag 7 as well, too, Ben.
At some point, you got to think, you know, it's worth testing the water somewhere, you know, in this area. You have some options data over there. You want to jump into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just talking about the overall market, guys, and some of the names being down substantially. I mean, we have the Microsoft still down 30%. We have Apple down double digits as well, too. Tesla down 27%. So what I'm getting at here, essentially, the fact that the SPY, the SPY, is only down 7%, I think we're in some good we're in some good hands right now. Strike price 660 is what we're going to be looking at here today. Bid in the ask, relatively tight within the SPY, but this is going to be expiring tomorrow afternoon. But one thing that I really wanted to point out here, guys, is just that our implied volatility, considering that we have a truth every hour on the hour, it seems like a volatility spike within USO and the oil trade, that this volatility within the overall market hasn't really upticked. So are we that fearful considering that the SPY is only down 7% off of its highs, which isn't bad whatsoever? And I think that, well, there's no fear, there's no increase in implied volatility, and if these Mag 7 leading into earnings start to get a pop, and they get the pop off of the earnings announcements, you can see the market start to climb a little bit higher as well.
Yeah, going to be focusing, again, I think most of these reports going to be focused entirely almost on the spend, as it has been the past
Exactly. And what Michael Noss was talking about not too long ago, are we starting to see the efficiencies of AI come into play? We had Block layoff around 10,000 employees saying, hey, we don't need them. We did overhire, but we're starting to become more efficient, so we don't need half of these jobs.
Oracle and other.
Yeah, exactly. Oracle, different story, right? They gotta pay for things, unfortunately. But we're starting to see things. Amazon as well too, doing layoffs, so 30,000 employees. Yeah. So we're starting to see somewhat of these efficiencies come into play.
Going to be a few weeks before we get into big tech or some of the bigger names, but the bank's right around the corner here for this quarter. So going to be interesting. SLV, a couple people talking about this morning, trying to hold above the range from Friday. Had a nice recovery. It was almost initially, as soon as the market opened, we just ripped right back to the upside after the gap down on Friday. Same story for equities in general, but this is a key level, guys. $66 here on silver, trying to hold, or the ETF anyway.
Yeah, trying to continue this little reversal that's got going on. I think in this, look, in this particular case, like you had the gap down as on Thursday when you had that oil gap up, and then the reversal was the story, and it held all day long on Thursday. Able to close at the highs, able to show some strength. It's been sort of weighed down at one point by the USD, and with the same thing with gold. The concern, I mean, some of the concern that you would have, I guess, continuing this little trend break that it's doing right here, would be anytime people throw the R word around, anytime people start thinking about the demand. We were just talking about the consumer. We've also been talking about the labor market in terms of weakness, and now you have to start thinking about inflation, throwing that R word around and contracting some economies globally, and that could put some pressure on silver as well. That said, ball doesn't lie yet. It's holding above prior highs. If you have a distinct triple, quadruple, whatever top it has at the 66, as long as it holds that, you got to feel a little bit good about it. I don't wonder if we're not in for one of these types of opens. Like you go back to Wednesday where it just sort of danced around, bounced a couple of times off the lows, bounced a couple of times off the highs, didn't really do anything new until literally the middle of the day. Like it broke out the highs at almost, it was like 11:30 when it finally made a secondary move. That's the feel that I currently have. So when you look at that support at 66, it's like, okay, well, be patient this morning. I wouldn't want to chase anything here on silver, and it's had a few of those types of opens. Like you start to look back and remember what this usually does at the open. We tend to test some of the bottoms. Like you test the bottom there, test the bottom there. Actually broke through before bouncing. Even on a strong day, like you're holding those lows at the open. So it's tended to, if you like that long, test and show you that low, at least early, and then that's your chance to go instead of chasing out any highs. And then don't forget, this is something where if you ignore what happened on Thursday, both Tuesday and Wednesday, it's real. Like it had breakouts that were just as good in the afternoon. Like you waited until noon until it was breaking out levels, or you waited till 11:30 when it was breaking out levels, and you got just as good of a move as you did in the morning. So I think specifically, Bitcoin tends to do the same thing as well, where a little bit of patience off of the open tends to pay off. I think waiting for that 66 to at least show you a bounce would be the proper way to go.
Yeah, I'm just responding to Joe here. Look at Marvell here. Here's another strong stock, right? I mean, we want to talk about playing some trends here as well. I mean, I like the silver trade. I think we've looked at SLV and traded that, and ZSL is another way of looking at it. But here goes Marvell one more time today, up another 2%. Marvell and Intel on my watch here now. Thanks to Dane Generous there for the Intel idea. But there's Marvell breaking through that $100 mark and holding. We did have, a little bit of excitement there when we dipped back in, and that was a great opportunity. And we talked about potentially getting long into that. If you got long at $90, even if you took 90, which is not the greatest price 3, 4, 5 days ago, you're up to 109 now already. So that's another, that just off those lows, you're almost up 15%, 16% right now for Marvell, adding another 2 points to that name here today. Watch out for 108. Really like this name. We talked about the sum of the parts. If this AI story is relatively early, which I think it is as far as some of these names are concerned, Marvell still has a lot of room to run up to the upside. So this name continues to work. And Joe mentioned CrowdStrike was a pick of his. Marvell was a good one of mine. I have a couple bad ones. But there goes Marvell right now, right up into some more areas. Let's see if we can get, honestly, we were looking at this 120, 125. I haven't sold anything up here. The last time we got some out was right in this area of $100. And then we haven't done anything recently. So we'll see if Marvell can continue to mature up into this 125, 130 area there for MRVL. So we'll wait and see where that gets going now. And just looking at a name like NVIDIA, we're looking at the market, and Neil just turned to me a couple minutes ago and was like, I haven't seen a long time where this has been sort of doing absolutely nothing. And I think that when you're looking at an NVIDIA, we saw Tesla moving around a little bit, but Apple was flat, NVIDIA's flat, maybe some names starting to come back just a little bit here. So it's going to be a very, very interesting day where you're looking for potentially stories. We had that CrowdStrike, it's not really moving on that, but you're looking for some story names, right? And some stocks that are maybe bucking the trend one way or the other. So I would choose today NVIDIA. If I was looking short in the chip space, that would be a short because it's only up 0.1 and then AMD's up 0.6. So it's these little channel checks that I try to do early just to see if there's some momentum somewhere and maybe potentially where that would be and what names are strong versus what names are weak. So right now it looks like AMD trying to break through, and then we'll probably, I'm not sure what's going to be on the rundown, but I really, Intel right over here. Since we broke through that $50 mark, Intel's been a really surprise to me because we're sold some up here. Did not buy anything back as we made a move back down, and we put that money to work some other places as well. But $44 right there was such a great hold. We dipped down a couple days through there, but what a good hold there for Intel. And now looking to take out some of the highs again, INTC. So this should be on the radar as well, up 2%. So got a couple of those names working on it. I'm looking for one more here that we're going to be adding. I like some Palantir today as well. And then I don't know, maybe some Robinhood. It's the market. We talked about how good Robinhood should be if crypto bounces back and gives out better feels for some of these depressed assets, right? And so there we go, man. Robinhood with Starlink and SpaceX and all these SpaceX, Starlink wrapped up there. If that IPO and when that happens with OpenAI as well, IPOing, and then Anthropic IPOing, like we should be able to see Robinhood get back up to the upside as trading starts triggering those fingers of active traders. So that would mean Robinhood gets more business, which means, you know, hopefully a bump in the price. So yeah, we'll wait to see if Robinhood does anything today, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, and I'll take some of that cash over here right now, $70 for Robinhood.
More of a Little John guy.
Yeah, you're more of a Little John guy?
Yeah.
Pretty
legit as well.
Oh, that kind of Little John, yeah. Yeah, exciting. Oh, Netflix breaking 100 also. That was the other one that I thought, and we already talked about it. We got a super chat of it, and it's broken through. So we want to thank everybody for participating in that and bringing more strong names to our attention, right? So like, doesn't have to have news. They got that $87 billion back because they did not acquire, obviously, Warner Brothers there. And then they got the breakup fee. So it's good, man. It's been a nice run. This is sort of the action off of the breakup there and pass off to Paramount PSKY. Dips down into $90, looks really good on the hold right there on a daily chart. You're starting to get like a little bit, another shoulder action there, possibly shouldering up again, but we're looking to break through this $100 mark. So I think Netflix could be here, there. Why are we supposed to add? That's very, very good.
Create Utopia, fantastic question, yes. And we're glad that you asked this question. The reason we ask all of our viewers when you're typing in the chat, and first off, if you're in the chat, congratulations, you've found a great community. If you're not, then jump in while the water is warm. It is a subs-only chat, so hit the subscribe button and jump into the chat. We have something called our stock visualizer. It's something we all look at intraday so that we can see the names that are popping off in lists. Maybe we're not trading something that everyone in the chat or half people in the chat are interested in and all excited about, and we want to get to it. Maybe something pops off out of nowhere. We got to keep our ear to the ground for the news. You'll see PFSA, that's a small capper, is on the watch list. That's Profusa. Profusa is the name of the company. Small cap are up over 100%. Netflix, we just mentioned. Tesla, which is in play. The SPY. Nokia. Hey, that's a name we don't talk very often. We already talked Marvell there. Planet Labs, SoFi is going to make the list. SanDisk and Micron, both up 3.5% as the memory chip names are in there. So that's why we ask you guys to do the dollar sign. So if I were to say, I don't know. I'm just gonna say SoFi because why not? It's already on there. My brain just went, and I would love if it would break $16. So I type that in. You'll see it pop in there. See BBAI, MAST, a couple of others. ARM, Tesla, and so that's the idea. It's just for us to be able to visually see what everybody is interested in. But yeah, actually, before we go back, I know we're gonna go out to the boys. Yeah, Micron and SanDisk. Why not? That looks pretty good. Both of these breaking through very, very barely last week's highs. I mean, like you're eking through at least here on Micron. After the hefty pullback, it's back above that key 370 level, and I just missed that super chat, I believe, because I turned my head.
Did we have a super chat?
Okay, no, never mind. Maybe it wasn't a super chat. I just saw it pop on my program monitor there. Maybe it was not a super chat, but thank you guys for the question, and thank you for contributing the symbols.
Yeah, keep hitting that.
Keep doing it. As long as I don't really know. I think usually we have a poll by now too, but I'm not sure we want to ask for a poll today.
Why don't we just ask first 15 minutes?
All right, let's go.
Yeah, like are we looking like long or shorter? Okay. I don't know, up or down. I don't know how we want to word it. First,
we liking for
first 15-minute bias or something. I don't know. Figure that out.
Long. I'm just gonna keep it to long or short. Keep it very, very simple. So we'll start the voting in there. And so now all of a sudden, if you type 1 in the chat, that means you're bullish for the first 15 minutes right off the open, and we'll say the SPY. And then if you type 2, that means that you're bearish. I'm not giving you guys another option because I feel like today, if I sit on hands and neither, everybody would pick neither today. So I think I don't want to do that one.
Yeah, I think it's an obvious one to say, like, sitting out.
Because I think everybody would just say that, so that doesn't really help us. Right now, we're looking at 46, 53, 54, so it's close to 50-50, which is not a surprise to me, given what we're seeing. Nothing definitive, slightly to the short side. I mean, very, very barely. We'll leave that one up until about, once it gets closer to 9:30, the questions for the first 15 minutes. And we'll see if that actually gets any kind of a lead. So I'd say slightly the shorts are winning, but only barely so.
All right, good poll there. Yeah, make sure no matter what you're watching on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever we're streaming, make sure you do hit it. It attaches to all of your accounts, so make sure you do hit it and you can vote there and get it going. We'll look at that again like at 9:15 or so and see if we've changed any of our opinion, because right now, yeah, it's hard to have 50, one as we wait for more news to hit the market. It's a pretty slow news day to start with, but there's a lot of covers that we need to take here. Bitcoin's going to be a good one as well. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about oil, probably some silver and gold coming through. Tesla's one of the top stories there today as well. So let's get back over the desk and start our rundown.
I was just reading a note here from Citigroup as well, now pushing their expectation for the first cut out to September. Was June. There went all the way out to September with that. It's worth noting today, however, dollar downside 2 days in a row. We have yields downslide, kind of a little bit. It's been 2 days in a row of chop on the long end anyways, the 10-year and the 30-year back in the red, which should theoretically help overall for the market anyways. I mean, Citigroup didn't move on that, but it's worth noting. Bank's a little bit stronger than the overall market heading into the weekend back on Thursday as well. If you haven't done so, watch list link is below in the description. I think it's a second link down below. We'll get you to the sign up page there. All you need is your email address, and you can have that for free. Has everything you need to know that's moving around in the pre-market on it every single day. And then you come join us at 8 o'clock. Tesla, top of the list here this morning. Couple of notes. There were 2 or 3 analyst notes on this morning. A couple of initiations on the positive side for Tesla, a couple of price target increases. I mean, it's been back and forth. We had a really bad day on Thursday, not Friday, Thursday, going back to that deliveries number. If you missed it, quarterly deliveries number, a huge miss. I think it was expected, but I mean, it did come in a little bit worse than it was expected.
Yeah, I think that we were expecting that, Brando. We also had, as you mentioned, deliveries. We had the TSA also this morning as well, too, down 27% off of the highs. It's been a little bit of a rough ride for Tesla, but I think with this name, we just remain forward-looking. $30,000 for the robo-taxi. I think a lot of people are going to want to get their hands on it. The robotic side of things via Optimus, obviously. So it's been a tough run. I think we're putting everything to the side with the EV aspect of things and just going to remain forward-looking. Hopefully he starts mass producing and hit some of these deadlines that he's mentioned with the production of robo-taxi, and we can start spitting these things out.
I read a really interesting article. It was on X on the weekend. It's a different take on the robotics side, and it was going back to the Artemis mission and the moon, essentially, and they were essentially saying, can Tesla make enough robots that they can send the robots to the moon to set up the entire operation of whatever it's going to be on the moon, to bring back the rare earths, because apparently there's a ton of rare earths up on the moon. So that would be step number one. I saw somebody in the chat actually mentioning earlier, can Tesla robots make Nike shoes for Nike in the US at a cost basis that actually makes sense?
Well, we know the mechanics of these things aren't the best yet. The brain is there. If you look at some of these Chinese robots, they're doing kung fu and they're fighting all these crazy stuff, right? And we're still struggling to get into the kitchen and figuring out where the kitchen is. Pick up a fork on this side here. But I think eventually, if we get there, I wouldn't be surprised. Elon would most definitely be sending his robots to space.
You make a good point. I mean, those Chinese videos, or the videos of the robots, they seem like they're like there or thereabouts, like ready to go.
They're leagues ahead, essentially, from the movement, the mechanical movement of the robot.
We shall see. That continues to be the narrative, however. We are leaking, to say the least, right now. Still positive, guys, but on the way back down here in a hurry.
Oh, hearing you guys talk about the advancements with the robots, I find it's a little bit frightening, because you start to get Optimus with expert timing, and we could be in some serious trouble for sure. Because again, kicks will be fast as lightning, everybody. We'll get to some Tesla, but we have an important message first.
Yeah, we do. Here's a biotech and life science company to put on your radar. It's Medicus Pharma. The ticker is MDCS. Medicus focuses on accelerating the clinical development of novel and potentially disruptive therapeutic assets that serve large target markets. Right now, they have 2 portfolio companies, SkinJect, which is developing a non-invasive regime to treat skin cancer, and Antev, which is developing Teverlix for acute urinary retention and cardiovascular high prostate cancer. What's interesting is Medicus looks to advance therapies through phase 2 studies while pursuing licensing or strategic partnerships with larger pharmaceutical companies that can then move these therapies through late-stage development and commercialization. It's a collaborative and very capital-efficient development model. As clinical studies become more complex, Medicus provides the structure and support needed to help bring these innovative therapies to patients who are waiting. It's definitely a company to watch. MDCX, Medicus Pharma. So thank you for that sponsorship of this segment. Yeah, you mentioned Tesla there. I mean, it is starting to move around a little bit here. A little bit better than the market, up 0.71. But as Brendan said, starting to get it, into the downside. I've always thought that when Tesla breaks pre-market levels, it has a good tendency to continue to follow that trend. So there goes Tesla right now, breaking through 363.50. So I think that, although early I was debating, I'm going to get this note out right now, was debating the long there on Tesla. I think I'm going to go short now. We've actually broken through some of these pre-market levels. It doesn't mean I'm just going to go short immediately, but I think the momentum here, downside on Tesla, it's only down $1. That could easily change. So we can now look at, I would favor the short because of this move. It's only 9:05. We could be all the way back here before 9:30 hits, but I like the short, especially if we can get back to VWAP, which we'll probably do. And then, where do you get out? It's about as easy of an out as possible. The high is 365. We just punch out if it breaks 365. I mean, it's a pretty easy go there to get out of this name. And if you look back to where we were, and I'll pass over to Neil for some of his analysis, but if you look back to where we were there on Friday, it's a nice drop basically from this 365. I mean, if you are going to extend it out and you do like the short idea, we could not break since noon there, 366.50. So this 366.50 seems like something there from the afternoon. So if you're looking short, I think that could be your out. And yeah, this looks like a pretty decent high area as well. The lows before this break happening right there, 365. So I think that's a good short for me on TSLA. However, most of my ideas are long looks, just waiting for the market to fall back in and give me a long. But I think Tesla for now can be shorted back to zeros, and then we see what winds up happening. Still right now up 0.64.
Yeah, I'm not much different. I wrote 370 is the only thing I wrote down for Tesla. And we were talking about this channel from before. Like, it's channel down. So story, no story. This one is pretty clean in terms of its trend, and revisiting the bottom makes a little bit of sense. You had that 370 top before. You basically had a fail above it on Wednesday, all that good stuff. And before we throw it back to the desk and talk a little bit about oil, I'm a little disappointed in the chat. Because up at the desk, Joe said kung fu fighting. Okay. Before we threw to the ad, I threw in both like expert timing and fast as lightning, and nobody got the kung fu fighting song reference.
Wow.
It's like that.
These people.
That's all I'm saying. It's like that. Okay. I see. Apparently we'll have to dig a little bit deeper. You guys don't know the song.
I just heard Brad say he doesn't. We gotta do kung fu fighting. We are fast as lightning.
Come on, man.
Oh my God, you guys are too much over there. All right, well, let's go back over there and start singing some YMCA then, boys.
Ramin's job is done for the day.
She has her clips.
Yeah. No, still don't get it. Visual for the overall market here. I mean, it kind of explains where we're at anyways. If you're wondering, anyways, historically, if you go back far enough, what April is like as a month, it's actually not bad. Typically 1.5 or average anyways return, 1.5%. The median return for April, 1.1%. What's the best month, you ask? July and then November going into the end of the year. We were talking about on a midterm type election cycle year. It's typically November. So towards the end of the year, once we get a little more certainty in the future of politics in the US. Let's go to energy stocks here. Back to the downside for Oil initially this morning after, man, what a weekend it was with back and forth rhetoric. Had oil initially 112. WTI came in this morning 112. We're coming off that pretty quickly here, but this is just the XLE. I mean, you can pull up some of these producers. They're looking similar.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Donald Trump with another deadline here, Tuesday, 8 p.m. He's saying you need to have a deal done. We need to open it up. Again, he's prepared to do whatever he has to do, essentially. But it's been a lot of back and forth here. We know last week at 9 o'clock he was speaking. We had that massive spike in oil. And throughout the intraday sessions as well, too, guys, we're still seeing those volatility spikes. But with each specific news headline and just being us really sensitive, we're starting to see that start to cool down a little bit. The street not taking it as literal. But I think it's the same thing with the NVDA chips. We're back and forth. And I'm going to take it the exact same way. Until we get a deal done, everything is status quo.
Yeah, and it's headline driven. As you said, volatility is the name of the game here. We've faded off early positive moves here 2 days in a row, guys, for XLE.
Yeah, look, we're basically inside the range of Friday for most of the day. Just go to the actual like open breakdown level on USO here. It's like 138 top, and the afternoon range was a 136. So you're very much inside. So I'm looking at Boyle again, and very clearly this one was so, I don't know, distinct Thursday and Friday. Like Thursday and Friday were basically the same charts for Boyle, and it's a little different today. We're up 4 points. You have neck S maybe a little bit stronger. So I think it's an easy over/under at the 16. Like if this breaks 16, wait 17, fade. If it holds 16, then the range from the last couple of sessions to give you that, the 80 to 90 cent range has been pretty good. And so that'll be, I think, like relatively simple. It's just looking at prior levels from Thursday and Friday, well, Tuesday and Wednesday, I should say, not Thursday, Friday, Tuesday and Wednesday. But as far as USO goes, if we break 136 down, if you lose that support, then I just want to be thinking bullish on the markets. If we stay inside, better have some relative strength like a Netflix where it kind of stands on its own a little bit. But if, like, I'm already a little skeptical of that 70,000 level on Bitcoin. But if we start breaking down through 136 and are trending to the downside early, then I got to respect that and be looking for some, maybe bounce plays, especially elsewhere other than Netflix. Like Netflix is really the one that stands out for me as a bit of a long. And if oil's weak, I kind of like this one regardless, but if oil's weak, that certainly strengthens it. So we lose 136, I think that just strengthens the case for the longs. But USO not doing much of anything early. So I think you got to be a little bit patient, keep ear to the ground. And when there's those big trend breaks on USO, understand whatever you're in or doing can get really irrelevant when we get one of those spikes and you get to the news right away to be able to reassess.
All right, here we go, man. Gersond? Yeah, Gerson. I'm here since 2020. Okay. Oops, I don't have my. Hit the bang, Neil. Hit something here. I gotta get my.
There we go.
I gotta get the stream deck going on there. All right, show has changed. Okay, but the show has changed. Back then, 8:10, the trades were surgical and in the right direction. But now, so much maybe the market has changed. I'm still a big fan. Hold on a second. So the show has changed. Back then, 8 to 10.
The trades were
8 to 10 o'clock. You mean 8 to 10 o'clock? Maybe the trades were surgical and in the right direction. But now not so much. Maybe the market has changed. I'm still a big fan. So I think
there's less pre-market trading because I think when we started the show in 2020. Oh, I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I know that I trade less in the first 10, 15 minutes because the market has changed. When we first started the show in 2020. It was during the meme craze and after COVID, and you had so many small cap and gappers where you would spend the entire day for the first couple of years, or at least for the first year in the show, and you wouldn't even necessarily look at Mag 7. You wouldn't even care sometimes if you're trading, you wouldn't care what the market was doing. What's GME doing? What's the latest gapper doing? That's where the volume tended to be. So it is a little bit different because you get your indicators from those types of stocks sometimes 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. And you don't have to wait till the open to find definitive direction. It's been a little bit different. I look at something like last week where some of the biggest opportunities come after oil has made its move. And if it hasn't done anything, or when it recovers, like USO, when it recovers from that big drop, when it recovers from that big drop on Friday, like that was at 10:30, it made that bump. Then you get some distinct direction. That actually leads to like the next wave in the market. So unless you happen to already have been like sitting in, or if you're in that short, you're waiting for that reversion. And it is a difference in the market. It fills in the gap, you wait patiently for it to fill in the gap, and then we get a little bit of a turn. Or you let something set up that's relative strength or relative weakness. You know, like when USO was going back to the highs and Bull held a lower high, like that ended up being like a reshort. Like those types of things are going to be out there. It is a different market than when we first came on. You know, the meme craze was a weird time to have started to look at the markets, because you might have got accustomed to things in 2020, 2021, which aren't normal. You know, now we are looking at what the futures are doing a little bit more. We are looking at the VIX and energy prices. Those are all things you were unconcerned with in 2020. You were just led by whatever happened to be doing the volume, and sometimes you knew what the trend was sitting at 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning. I think that's much different here in today's market. Hopefully we're getting a crypto bounce. I think everyone would be, well, most people will be happy to see it. Although if we don't break 70,000, this guy remains skeptical.
Yeah, we're coming back in on some of these crypto names. There's IBIT right now, nice gap to the upside, almost got to 40 up here before we turn around here so far this morning. A little bit of testing the water potentially here for some of these crypto names this week, maybe?
Yeah, I think, Brendo, so historically speaking, we're in year 2 of this halving cycle, typically bearish, right? And that's when we see those deeper pullbacks. We have Bitcoin down 40+% off of its highs. So, I mean, if we're going the strategy route, then absolutely we look to grab a little bit more here. But I'm a little bit cautious on potentially more downside. We're just not seeing buyers engaged like they have before, considering during the IPO here for IBIT, and then it now becoming optionable as well too, there's a little weird activity going on, and I didn't think that we would see this type of volatility step into the asset class, but that hasn't been the case. So I'm not sure if buyers are 100% ready to get fully engaged. We had those mass liquidation events as well too in October. So I think the trader, the average retail individual, a little bit hesitant right now to get involved.
Feels different, definitely. The tone has changed when it comes to this trade in general. But IBIT, guys, looking pretty good here so far this morning.
It's gapped up, but as mentioned, you know, I'll continue to be a little bit skeptical. I'm going to zoom the daily chart here for Bitcoin. And remember this little channel, we failed this top, little bit of a trend break and then trend resistance level, but we failed that high, at least for now at the 70,000 mark. So I have 38.8 as a level that I think, you know, 38.8 and then into 39 as places that we can dip into. When we sit down, like and then we're now farther under VWAP there. I thought there might be a pop and fade, like a fail of the pre-market high would be a way to go here. Now, that hasn't happened. It would have to do a little bit of work to get to that point. But until we're down at 38.8 or maybe even testing 39, that's where I would look for a bounce, and otherwise it's going to start looking short first. Although the pop of the pre-market high for a fail break, it's like 1% away from that. Maybe we don't get that big of a move. So I have to be patient. Maybe VWAP could end up being the play here on IBIT. I will have eyes on BMNR, but BMNR is still relatively strong here today. So if we break that 70,000, I look over, BMNR is up 3 points. I know hasn't been like the best stock in the world for a lot of people, but I found in the up days when crypto gets going, this one tends to do pretty well. So I would look at it in case we actually break 70,000 today and hold over. I'd probably pop over for a breakout on BMNR instead.
Okay, I'm looking right here at, that was still, I have IBIT up. I was looking at my notes here because I wrote down here for IBIT to be approximately right into here for this 38.50 long. So we could get into there. I mean, I was looking for a pullback into sort of Thursday's levels there for IBIT. So it's obviously it's all the way up. If you scroll back down in here, this is 38.50 right into here. So just looking to see if we get some clump up action into this level. We'll see if it wants to take a bid from there. It's a move down, so I'm not sure if that's what's going to happen here today or not. But if I'm going to be trading IBIT, it's being patient, sitting on my hands for the first couple minutes and then waiting to see if that trend is lower. If it's not, then we can try to wait to see where the bid is developed. But for right now, it's up 3.5%. I like the story here with IBIT. MSTR is in there buying with Michael Saylor, obviously. So, excuse me, we'll see if it can withstand this little dip buy potential now. It was up about 4%, now up 3.5%. So, coming back into 39.30s, we'll see if we can wind up holding for IBIT. But yeah, I'm liking the long. It is a top idea for myself today. So I'm going to be sitting on the bid somewhere for IBIT.
The tech stocks here back higher 3 days in a row potentially for this group. Anyways, just brought up XLK. Going back to that graphic that Michael Noss had, however, still relatively weak versus a lot of the other sectors right across the entire market. However, we are holding up a little bit better than most this morning, which could be beneficial here to some. You had a couple of ideas on these.
Yeah. So what I was looking at this week's expiration here, guys, we're going to take a look at some of the options activity on NVDA and why particularly this name. As Brendo just mentioned, we've seen a little bit of an uptick. This name's bounced off of that 163 low roughly. We're 10 points higher from that, but it seems like we're not ready to break down just yet. And with that being said, are we accumulating for a potential leg higher? It's usually one of the last Mag 7 names to report, but something that I found extremely interesting, and what we do when we're looking at some of these options contracts is look at where the largest amount of participants are laying, and on expiring this Friday, that's gonna be at that $190 mark. I know we're a little ways away from that, but 36,000 still current open contracts, volume on Thursday's session, 11,900, and a relatively tight bid and ask here, guys, but the at-the-money IV, a slight uptick considering we had a couple of those sell days, but not as high as we've seen in the past. So what I'm thinking here is maybe this week, if we end up with the bullish momentum, we can get a little bit move higher, closer to that 190 mark here in NVDA in the near time.
Yeah, let's see how things play out here for some of these. We touched on Tesla, guys. We touched on some of the other tech names as well. It's worth noting, I mentioned Citigroup revising their forecast on rate cuts. Wells Fargo just coming out doing exactly the same thing here, now expecting no rate cuts for the remainder of 2026. Remember, Citigroup went from 2 to 1 going out to September. Wells Fargo now saying we'll top that and just say, forget it. They're going to wait until next year.
Yeah, if you look at, even the Fed funds tool, you go out to December, it's 77% chance that we're exactly the same, and then spread out the rest up or down is almost 50-50, slightly better odds at like 12% or 13% if you add it up, that rates are going to be lower. And as for April, I can't remember the last time we were like 3 weeks away from a Fed rate decision and it was already 99.5%. 99.5%. Rates are going absolutely nowhere. Let's be real. They're not. NVIDIA is also going absolutely nowhere, although with USO just popping back through 138 and going green, so 136 obviously is holding. It's not boding well early on for the markets here. NVIDIA wasn't moving in the first place, but that 177 was a double top. I think you lose that and you're in a bit of trouble. I never thought this was the strong name out of the chips to be looking at. AMD was a little bit better. AMD was breaking out on the daily chart here, holding the 200 period and breaking away from the 50 period SMA on Friday. Unfortunately, like with that little move up in USO, I think we are headed for a bit of a pullback. So yes, AMD does have a bit of a top. It's like a 221. Here, I'll show you there, 221 breakout level. I think we're more likely to come in and retest some of the bids. At least that's what oil is telling us. And you got to be able to respect that. So, the pullback, you got 214 and 216 are the pretty key levels here for AMD both. That said, I feel a little bit better about maybe looking at that hundo or the gap fill on Netflix, especially if we're going to have some oil fluctuations. I feel like Netflix will probably be less bothered by fluctuations in energy than most of the rest of the tech names. I'll probably look there first, but then AMD after.
Yeah, I almost put Netflix on the board. I mean, I really do like it, but I like Intel. Intel 50 long, huge news back here. Huge move back here to 50 would get me long. But this is just a key level. Big trend break last week, higher through that level. It's really had quite an aggressive move. Shout out to Trader 6 there saying, doctor's note there with this sticky note. But here's Intel. So it's just been so super strong, right? I mean, over the last couple days. So there's the breakthrough of $50. Here's that little level that we thought we were going to run into. And now today you're busting through it. So yeah, man, the momentum here for Intel is along. So I'm going to be sitting here looking for pullbacks into $50 to see if that's possible there for INTC. Could it happen right away? Yes, it could, especially with the way this market is trying to drop down a little bit here now. So I'm also looking to short the NASDAQ if we can get up here. So there's a few ideas that we have written down on here, either a pre-market break or a pre-market fail of the TQQs. So with just a couple minutes left, let's throw it back to the desk for our last story. But it does look like right now, the level that I wrote down was 43.65 for the breakdown short on the Qs. It looks like we're getting that right now into the open. So 5 minutes to go. Let's throw it back to the boys, and then we'll get ready to trade this open.
Yeah, potentially extending the recovery here for some of these metal-related stocks, or if you want to just look at the ETFs in general, here's SLV. If you remember going all the way back to Thursday, feels like quite some time ago now, we had that huge gap down on some more negative headlines and risk-off, type of environment as we came in on Thursday. We did nothing but absolutely rally straight out of the open for all of these going into the long weekend. We are holding that level right now for SLV. Gold is about the same, a little bit less volume, a little bit less interest, but this thing specifically, from that perspective that we're just seeing right there, definitely looking like a downtrend well in place.
Yeah, with silver, I mean, we're still off of those highs. Last year in the latter half, 144%, right? So you see some profit taking. Again, a big-time liquidation in silver. You had that 20% down day, a lot of liquidations that day as well, too. So it was all fun and games for quite some time, Brendo, but then when things start to cool off, the trade isn't as hot, but maybe you get somewhat of a rebound here.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, if we do get some positive momentum, we do get some positive headlines, some sort of talk about a resolution here, or as we said earlier this morning, more ships being able to go through the Strait of Hormuz, more traffic, more oil getting back out into the market. Maybe we see a little bit of a bounce here, guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, still having USO bounce a little bit higher. You saw a sell and bounce on Intel at 450,000. It's not gigantic, but it's not nothing. Mara, small sell. Marvell, small buy of 175,000. So far, it's pretty light on the locator, but unfortunately for, why is that not on the AMEX? There we go. Unfortunately for SLV, it looks like we've lost that prior resistance, like Friday's resistance level, which ideally could have turned into support, has not, and that's corresponding pretty much exactly with the move up in USO. So as long as that trends, as long as this trends higher, then silver back, SLV, I get it, shouldn't say silver, should say SLV, back into 65, the afternoon support. If we get an inside day in oil futures and we kind of crest up at that top, then expect the bounces. Support levels for the metals where resistance is on USO is going to be the first look, at least for myself here, but a little further away. I think I'll probably look at Bitcoin before we look at SLV early on, but that's been par for the course lately. Sometimes the bigger moves happen a little bit later on in the day there. Still nothing too crazy. In about a minute or so, we'll get a few other names probably popping in on the imbalance locator here. Intel was the only one that stood out. And even then, like 400,000 shares did cause, a slight push down. Like it would drop like 20, maybe 30 cents in here on Intel on that imbalance. Probably gets paired off pretty easily. Intel's done like 5 times this pre-market volume.
Yeah, I'm still bidding. I had Intel as a bid, so I'm going to wait to see if we can get that near that $50 mark, and then we'll deal with it then. It may come in almost immediately there off open, so we will look to see if that one hits. We did talk about Tesla breaking through some of the bottom prices there, and there's the bounce off of your 200 period clean there for Tesla. So despite the market moving back in a little bit, Tesla starting to go back there to the upside. So that's nice to see right now. And then we have Palantir was the other name that we looked at, that I'm looking at today. We still have 2 minutes to go, so we don't need to panic about this. But look at this drop in there for PLTR, potentially again on the imbalance locator right quick here, PLTR. No, I don't see Palantir
that's right.
on there right now. But I wrote down here 147 for Palantir. The Friday low to see if we can get into some support there for PLTR. So it's not the complete I mean, Friday's low. I mean, we were all the way down into here, but it's this little level right there for Palantir that we're looking at. It looks like that's coming in pretty hot fire right now as well. I'm not going to sit on the bid of Palantir. I will sit on the bid of Intel, so I'm there for 50. We just talked about that. See, INTC. Here it is. So we'll have a look there. So we're sitting on the bid there at 50. IBIT, I do like 38.50, so I'm sitting there. That's not going to hit. And then the TQQs, as we had mentioned earlier, I don't know what kind of a day this is going to be, but I did have some kind of feel for, breaking this pre-market low and then just kind of using the pre-market high maybe as one of our stop areas. So if you go all the way back to 7 o'clock, the pre-market high there is about $44, and the pre-market low right now, $43.60, just got broken. So I'm thinking short now on the TQs, but I would have liked to have hit that short rather than it hitting right now as we open up. So only now 30 seconds to go. Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you hit that like and that subscribe. And thank you to everybody watching all over the world there, including TikTok. So we want to thank all of you guys for that. Go over to your YouTube page. That's where you can find all of our videos. Some good shorts been out recently. Some of the stuff that Neil and I have been doing in the PM have been hitting. So we want to thank you all for looking over there as well. But yeah, my mind really early is just going to be on Intel and IBIT for now. And then we'll wait to see what the market does, along with oil, of course.
Yeah, oil probably just to see where the market is going to be led by oil prices as we ring the opening bell on this full week of trade. That's right, Europe can be closed, but it's not here, so ring it right about now. And first things first, USO already looking like it's trying to tick a little bit higher. Nothing too crazy, but
wow,
it's holding
kaboom.
some of those highs as the market goes bye-bye.
Yeah, the market goes boom on that. I don't know why it did that, but that's fine.
Netflix, let's just cancel the 100 bid. That came 101.5 on Netflix already. That just went boom in the night. What did Bitcoin do? Nothing. Does not.
No, Bitcoin doesn't really matter when the market opens.
Usually they don't tend to care what's going on. Quick look at silver here. Not too much action happening over there. NVIDIA and some of the chip names. NVIDIA to the downside at the lows when that initial spike. AMD, however, AMD doesn't dip. Yeah, of course. When the market was going down, we're like, okay, AMD dip in the prior low. AMD decides to just break out and say, who cares? We're going to 223. 2.5% now for advanced micro devices. Maybe that's, what else is going? Micron, no, Micron down. Micron down 2%. It was up 3.5. Now we're underneath 2% here on Micron. So a little bit surprising. AMD showing strength, which we expected, but not so much in the memory chip names.
No, Robinhood down to $69. Yeah, I was just trying to find out something that the TQs do make its move back into 44. Like, I'm almost thinking that this could be a short area right now. But, we had this sort of thought last time, and, it didn't necessarily work out as the momentum continued to go higher there right off the open. It's only 9:31 right now, so don't need to run into anything. Tesla is gone to the upside. That was an idea that we had on the watch list today as one of the top stories that we had talked about. There goes Tesla right now up here, I'll move this over, up 1.35% right now, trying to take out some of those highs, and there it goes. Look at this market really trying to extend out. The long that I liked was Intel. That's gone. I mean, the low was when we first looked at it there at $50.80 right off the open, and then Rip City up $1 there for Intel. Wow, the momentum carrying through. I'm just going to assume Marvell has also taken 110. No, it hasn't. It came close to doing that. That's a decent level there. 110 possibly breaking out on MRVL. That could be, one hell of a trade too. On the long side, we saw Netflix holding above that 100 marker, 101.20, coming back in right now. It got up to 102.50 there. There comes the market just pulling back. So again, our ears are to the ground here on this market. We do have, all the news wires up and ready to go. So the minute we see or hear something, we'll get that to you right now. But here comes the market just back in a little bit into pre-market highs one more time. Let's see if it can hold. Maybe some small cappers running around. Palantir, and then we'll go back to Neil. Yeah, okay, well, we get that 147.80. That was, again, that dip that we were talking about, and then boom, right to the upside. I was looking for 147 long. No, says Palantir, up 1%. This market looks like it's cooking despite it coming back in just a bit.
Yeah, it's really like individual name dependent. Like some of those chips are incredibly strong, with the exception of was NVIDIA and Micron. Bitcoin is holding underneath the up. If we get to the highs, if we get up to the highs in the NASDAQ and we're not breaking VWAP, I'll take my first shot fading on BTC. But USO and watching oil, they're just holding the same range. We basically bounced up a couple bucks here and then just holding the top of the range and not doing anything, which does lead me over to that Boyle short. Because Nat Gas was gapped up. Sorry, is gapped up. I shouldn't say was. It's still up right now. And holding some of these tops. If USO goes absolutely nowhere, I do like this. It was Wednesday, Thursday resistance up here in front of 19. No, I don't want sticky keys.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Yeah, don't watch out for that. Okay, so there goes.
You never want to hear that sound.
No, there goes the TQs right back in. Yeah, sticky keys are a disaster, especially if you're there trading with your keyboard. You don't want that. Bitcoin rebounding, but still not breaking through that 70,000 there. Nasdaq still holding out near some of those highs, and it's kind of like we said that we'd be sitting on our hands a little bit here early. Look at USO. Not doing a whole heck of a lot. Does make that high into 139. That was a high there from Friday as well. So trading over the weekend, we didn't see too much action, considering you're coming in and seeing USO and oil, CL with the K behind it there. Light sweet crude right here up to 112 and just hovering again, not doing a whole heck of a lot there on CL unit, only 0.61. Names that we looked at, CrowdStrike maybe, they had a CRWD, they had their increased $500 million there on their buyback, so it went from 1 billion to 1.5 billion. They're still down a little bit off of that story, but relatively flat there. And honestly, guys, I wish IBIT or something was moving around to get into something, but it's just doing this. So I think we got to watch out for this market. It is at some of those pre-market high levels there, and maybe we're going to fade off right here. We have some ISM at 10. That's 40. I mean, I might go short against this high right now, but I'm not really seeing anything that I'm absolutely in love with. Keep it going on the chat, and maybe Neil and I can figure out a trade here.
The only thing I'm watching right now is Bitcoin is IBIT basically holding under VWAP. The market continues to press higher. So as long as we continue to press higher and this is not going, any push into the top here, when I say the market, I'm looking at the NASDAQ, but the ES is close on its heels. If we do turn and fail that top, I'll look at, so far relative weakness is the best way to put it in IBIT. I know it's gapped up and gapped up more than the overall market is, but the initial move up is very underwhelming. And I just heard ASTS, Space Mobile. Remember, all of these space names, you've got the Artemis flyby at 3 o'clock. Hopefully we'll get some fantastic stories there. And then remember, in addition to that, you're gonna have the SpaceX IPO last week. All the space names, Planet Labs, ASTS, Rocket Labs, all in play. Those are all looking very, very good. But I'm not completely convinced about this Bitcoin yet, so I'm going to take my first shot here. It's closing under the volume weighted average price. So there won't be any pop and fade at the pre-market high because it hasn't gotten there.
Yeah, silver might be a short. I mean, the market just went down. I kind of feel like, I don't feel like we missed it, but we talked about that high there and starting to break a little lower right now. I'm gonna try a silver short right now. The market's now red on SLV, and that doesn't necessarily, I mean, we could look at the strong or weak US dollar, and I don't want to go short the very bottom like a maximum trade here or anything like that. I was sort of hoping that we could potentially start to use the 50 period here, as that's been the top, and we've really sort of absorbed that all the way down in. So here it comes back up just a little bit. Let's take a few more. Let's take a few more shares here at 70, and then I honestly don't want to go too much far back on this name. Like if we break back above 66, I think that's enough to get me out right now. So let's wait to see if we can get something else here around 66.90 or so for SLV. Let's just put an offer there. If it comes up and gets us, then booyaka, and if not, then we don't have to worry about it. Let's put our stop right now, 66.06. Give it a little bit of room there, back up to the upside. First trade of the day for me will be short silver. And again, the reason why, we break through the low of the day there. The market obviously is testing those lows. We should have been short up there. We were talking about it, we didn't do it, fine. So let's just try to see if silver wants to go. Down already on the day. The market's trying to get into the red zone right now. We can have a quick little look. I do like to look at the dollar versus silver as well. We've, but when we've been trading silver, we've seen the correlation here. So let's, okay, well, dollar's not doing anything. So for right now, that's not going to be part of the story. So we'll have to wait, although the dollar trending down should be okay.
Well, USO bouncing is probably going to help.
USO bouncing, okay.
Well, hurt things, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I'm looking to see what the dollar does, but at the same time, a break of 66 gets me out. So first trade here on the dollar is, on silver is a short.
Yeah, and IBIT, same thing. USO just broke the local highs here, so energy is going higher at the current moment, and you come into 140 on USO, and that'll be Thursday's highs. That's where we ended the week, so I think that could be a spot to bounce. I'm gonna reload in front of VWAP on IBIT. We briefly and for a split second broke the pre-market lows, but we're still dancing around here. Like the Nasdaq's right on the bottom. Anyways, the market's right on the bottom. For some reason, I was typing in markets because I keep saying it over and over again. I see it in my note there. No, like we're holding the bottom end of the range on the Q, so I'd expect IBIT could do the same thing while USO figures itself out. Unfortunately for Netflix, like the 100 bounce happened right at the open and went to 102.5. Great. That's come and gone. It now needs to show me after a failed break of the high. That is a failed break of the top, one way or another. If it puts in a lower high, that long has come and gone. And I got to look somewhere else for sure. It's not going to be there as well. And one more before, this is a name that we did not talk about too much. Nike, not doing much of anything. I said 45 was a bit of a fade zone for a continuation. Not sure we have enough strength to even get there out there on Nike. So yeah, not too much when it comes to oil. IBIT is going to get a reload if we can and try and play this one as just a trend trade down. As long as we hold an uptrend in oil futures, I feel like that's going to make some sense holding under VWAP here.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really know. I'm just waiting to make a trade. Well, we're in silver, but we already have that plan of action, so we'll hang out. Look at this pullback, right? Tesla, what goes up? Definitely trying to come back in right now. There goes Tesla up to 368. Now a very strong pullback. Down now $4 off the highs are Tesla, 368 and change, down to 364 and change right now. 367 high, sorry, didn't get to 368. Right back into 364 low. So here we go on Tesla.
Swarmer's gonna halt.
Swarmer's halting the other way?
Well, it's close.
Our silver trade still, so we just went down into the 60s again. I'm only short at 67, so giving that move up to 66s now. I'm not going to cover for 10 cents. So let's give this a little bit more room. We still like the short over there. Let's check out its brother in arms here with gold. And I was trying to watch a US dollar. Normally you do have that inverse relationship. So I'd rather see US dollar strength, which is trying to happen right now. This is the DXY. So if this can strengthen up just a little bit, then potentially silver will head back down. That's been the historical look over there. But gold kind of flattish right now. That's not going to help out my silver trade. But hi-ho, man, we're getting back up to the upside. I'm looking to short more right now at 90, so I'm sitting there. And the thing about silver is if you guys are trading here on a prop floor, you don't have to use any gateway other than the one that would pay you the most on the rebate. It just, you can sit there, it won't even fill you. Unless it rips through you. So you might as well get a rebate there. I was still waiting for 90s. I'll take a little fill here at 79 if we can get it and just average in a little bit just because it's kind of floating around here. Maybe we don't get the 90s, but I'm still at 90 with a stop of 66. If it breaks the high, it breaks the high. I'm trying silver long right now. Short. Just
for everyone out there that is mentioning that Swarmer stock, the big time gapper and runner from last week that made all the dreams come true, drone play that came to market with an IPO. It's down 19%. Did not hit looks like it did not quite get to the halt band early and halt, but I'd say it was pretty darn close. It got really close to the band. Still trending down and looking incredibly weak, unfortunately. There is FCUV, which is halted on over 20 million shares of volume through the high of the day. The tap here right now is saying 891, which would be a fresh high for FCUV. A couple of small cappers out there that are running. Only for you-know-whats and giggles. AMC, for reasons unknown, is up 11%. Anything come out this weekend that was that crazy? I mean, we know. Nothing. I didn't.
But that's not really a movie theater story.
I don't know. I didn't really see anything that would cause that kind of a move. But for what it's worth, it's bouncing off a dollar. Sometimes the dollar can be psychological level. As the NASDAQ comes back, I'm noticing Bitcoin not going, so I still like that one to the south side. But Netflix is disappointing here. Netflix, the initial breakout, great, to 102.5. It's back under 100. No green candles in sight. Going to need to see a trend break. And if to go long, because it's trending down, that's a setup for not a long, obviously. If we pull back into prior highs, then looking for a bit of a trend break here on Netflix. It's got a couple of dollars to go till we get to that support level. Oh yeah, the Mario movie came out.
Yeah, okay, but
You know what's weird? Like my daughter wasn't even asking about it. It was Easter, so you're too busy over Easter.
yeah, we were thinking about going to see some movies, but we were
forgot all
just
about
way too rammed.
Yeah, it's Easter long weekend. Like people just fan.
All right, here we go. Yeah, good look there on AMC and a good talk. Thank you everybody for the Mario. It's a Mario. Yeah, right there, 65.90. So we'll go short right now, and this is the trade that we wanted here on silver. We should have just been a little more patient with it, but you never know what prices you're going to wind up getting. So we don't have the best price there. Wish we only had 65.90s, and then we'd be covering here for that more than 1-to-1. But we're short at 80s. Remember, our stop is going to be a break of 66. That came and went, but we could test one more time. I'm bidding now 71 just to get out of a little bit if we can make a move down. I'll get out of less than 10% if that move does happen, and then we'll wait. I mean, it's just bounced off completely. I wasn't going to do it, and then we just bounced off 70 right there. So I do have a bid right now, and then I'm going to I don't have one, so I better put it another bid a little bit lower here into the low 60s. We'll see there. See what I'm saying? Like I'm bidding 71. Look at the size there. There was like literally 100 shares. There we go. So we do get that fill as it breaks back down in. Here we go, man. So we've got half our daily goal. It's not a huge goal right here, but we're going to wait to see if this does float back in and give us that low print right now on silver. Hi ho, man. I hope you guys are with me on this one. Here it goes. Yes, sir. We're doing it now again there. One trade today. It's the silver short. It's 15 cents in the money, now giving us roughly that 1-to-1. Let's put some more on the bid. We get a 63 there, or 64, sorry. There we go, and a 62. All right, now let's see if we could diamond hand this one. There it is, man. There it goes. That's our number one trade of the day right there. Shout out to Brendo. We are now at our daily goal there with silver and going lower. So far so good here with this early look on SLV short.
Yeah, and that's with the market going higher, which is what I like to see. Well, I like to see the markets go up, but also Bitcoin, which is trending right, IBIT, which is trending right back into the lows. I'm just not a believer if you can't get to 70K. You're seeing the NASDAQ power higher, which is a good thing, especially considering it's able to do this with USO going higher as well. But with no break of the high, I simply reloaded at the same area under VWAP. They were able to get IBIT. Nothing has really changed there. As I said, USO is still trending higher. And if this breaks the trend, this market could explode. Right? Like we're doing this bounce, at least early on, with USO clearly trending up. That's going to bring me to boil, because I said if this breaks trend, I like that boil in front of 16. Of course, that's going to be nat gas. Already under the volume weighted average price and breaking down. So I might have to, I should have just maybe been short this one at the actual high, but I was looking for the turn in USO. It's here now, so I'm going to try and get into boil as USO is trying to make its a little bit of a curl. Netflix still incredibly disappointing, everybody. It doesn't seem to want to get back to that 100 level. And if you're looking at the chip names for a little bit of strength, and I know we have a super chat we'll get to, you got NVIDIA. That's not a bad candle right here. Reversal candle here on NVIDIA, trying to creep back up through VWAP. That may be a little something on NVIDIA. Micron as well. Micron already breaking out the high. So yeah, the market is looking really pretty strong here. Let's see if USO can continue that downtrend. I got to get into that boil short. And Willis Addison with the super chat. Took son and two of his pals see the new Super Mario movie. Okay, well, perfect. Let us know how it was.
Yeah, how was it? It's probably pretty good. We'll probably take my kids. They really like that. I like watching it.
And we have another super chat. Mopar, good morning. Calm down, SoFi. If it's going up, then no. How about it doesn't calm down?
You never, ever calm down.
Jinx, why is it, I wish I had seen this chart when it was to the upside, but it's not. It's already pulling back in. SoFi up 2%. Above $16 is a good thing, but it has a lot of work to do. It's still cut in half from the highs, almost.
Yeah, poor SoFi. That sucks. Yeah, I mean, I hope it comes back in. Obviously, very, very long SoFi. Wouldn't mind that to come back in. Okay, so we did have a move back up there pretty decently on silver. I did take another 70 fill there, as well as a 65-60 fill. So we just took one near the lows, one near the highs of that most recent move. Now let's just sit down here and take another fill down by the low, and still trying to respect this break of 66. I don't mind getting a little shorter if we do get back up, but it needs to get a lot closer, almost like where we were before. So if we can get another 90, then maybe I would short that. But right here, you could see this is 3-to-1. We talked about our bigger position being put on there. We said that this early was just a start. So if this continued to fall down, we take like half a unit there, about another 1 or 1.5 units there, then 3 more up here, giving me this average price. And here comes silver right now. Now a day and a half worth of gains on this one trade. And if we get 51s, it'll be even better. I'm bidding 51 right now on SLV. So the other idea I had was, Neil's in IBIT, so whatever, we'll forget about that. I had the long a little bit lower than that, so we'll wait for 38.50. Of course, I mean, if you don't always get the prices you want, so sometimes you got to step in. All right, Intel, same type of ways, right? We wanted to dip by these bids. I mean, this is what we wrote down here. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I just sort of reference the sticky note, and that was just right into there. Intel long, trying to buy dips, right? As we gap higher is what we talked about. We could have a look at Palantir as well, but there's the dip. So it went into the 200 period, went into the 200 period, and I just was obviously sitting here with silver and missed it, but that was a good take right there on Intel. So we'll see if we can dip back into $51 again over there. And you had sort of said that AMD, I hadn't looked at it, but it was hot to begin with. Yeah, and still, like some of these names, man, here goes AMD, up 3%, 4%, hello, right now for advanced micro devices.
The space names are breaking out. ASTS is now up 5%, breaking 97.5. Rocket Lab, I mean, Planet Labs was already going. Rocket Labs is maybe trailing a little bit, but I feel like if ASTS and that's going to go, this has a chance to double top Breakout.
Oh, here we go.
So, yeah, the market's pretty much at those highs. AMD is absolutely flying. Netflix just does not want to get going here. It's trying to catch a bit of a bid, but it just won't break this downward trend yet. Like I said, it's been disappointing, I think, for Netflix. Very disappointing for Netflix. And the other thing is, yeah, Nike just broke the low of the day. I don't want to chase this. I'm not punching the low LOD here on Nike for that continuation since earnings, but the next available pop, going to try to short Nike, maybe into VWAP. Try to get it after that little fail. So no matter how strong the market is, some of these, well, I shouldn't say some of these. A lot of retail isn't that bad. Nike making another fresh low. They're just not doing it. It's just, there's a short till it's not on this one.
All right, so I'm now out of 40% of silver, so let's go spin it right there. It's a big trade. It's a big trade. So that was a good one there for SLV. You know, I don't mind trading, obviously, these contracts, or you can see it here, we're using IBIT to get to Bitcoin, we're using SLV to get to silver. You could use, you know, GLD to get to gold. And these are just what we trade here on the show. We more comfortable trading the actual equity than looking at futures. So that's that. And then for the NASDAQ futures on a whole, I like to look at the TQs, which are now breaking highs. So there we go, man. The NASDAQ right now breaking back through highs. We had said maybe looking at the short. It's now 950, so potentially. But all we've done is hold the 200 period moving average. I think it would be a little silly for me to look over here and really think aggressively about the short there. Like what we're really doing is, and silver's bouncing back to the high side. So I'm glad that we're getting out a little bit here of silver. I want dollar strength. And right now, dollar's not doing anything. If anything, maybe it's getting a little weaker right now. So a weaker dollar would help us, you know, sorry about this, guys, get lifted in the NASDAQ, right? A weaker US dollar does help some of these mega cap names. So you look at the MAGs or anything like that, and you'll see a strong move higher. And that's why the TQs and the NASDAQ continue to see pump away up there. But yeah, good move down. I'm gonna take another fill here. Just at 67, I'll bid it. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't, but I'm just gonna take out again like 2% here. I think I'm just gonna start to ease out a little bit. That was a pretty aggressive move back up there for silver, and we don't wanna make our only trade of the day. And again, we're not giving anything back here, but we've given back unrealized profits. Funny when Joe mentioned that about how Michael Saylor there, what was the unrealized position up there at 125. But right now, Bitcoin.
But he's never realizing anything.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. It's not an unrealized situation for him, of course. But yeah, there it goes. Right now, back up is silver. So we can watch out to see what Bitcoin winds up doing, but it looks like silver getting a little aggressive, almost too much so right now. VWAP at 66, that's my stop. I'd hate to go run almost flat on this if we get stopped out, but hey, man, I'm trying to go short right now on SLV.
It's still 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's still
it's still not even 10 o'clock
yes,
is what I meant to say. It's not 10 o'clock yet. We still have 7 minutes to go.
We good.
So I don't think anything is terribly changed. If we end up breaking out VWAP here on IBIT, which it's trying to do, like our last short is pretty much on the line at the volume weighted average price. If we break it out, then fine. Then that short turns into a loser, and I'm okay with that. The opening range is held, at least for now. We've got the NASDAQ holding the high, at least temporarily. There's a wick top through the overnight highs. the early morning highs. So as long as that's going to be the case, I don't see Bitcoin breaking out without the Nasdaq holding over that top. So that's going to be, that is what it is. Netflix is making a bit of a turn into the upside. Finally, can it get above the volume-weighted average price? Netflix did get it. It was Goldman Sachs, I believe.
Oh, was it upgraded
with an
somewhere?
upgrade
Okay.
of Netflix. I don't think we did the upgrades. Did we get to them?
No.
It doesn't really matter. But they did get an upgrade today. In addition to the fact that it's breaking through $100 and all that good stuff, and the market is slightly higher, Netflix does have some news, but it's kind of rejecting the volume-weighted average price. This is still profiling like a false breakout until you start putting in some higher lows. Here for Netflix. AMD does not want to do much of a dip. It's pulled into VWAP a couple times, but with the market at the highs and it's on the pullback, I'd be a little bit concerned that it's putting in these higher lows. If this breaks the trend and the market fails to top, AMD I can see filling the gap in here. One of the strongest chip names out there, up 3 1/3%. Yeah. Definitely not as good of a look here for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is in the red right now.
What?
Like this market, are we really gonna hold these tops if NVIDIA can't go green today? Or at least early? So I'd say big time disappointment there. USO is turning the corner, but not enough to have gotten me into oil. Once again, we have a situation where oil futures moved more in the minutes leading to the open than they are after the open. Again, like the only thing I've done is reload Bitcoin, and Nike won't pop for a fade, and USO's not really moving enough to get the energy trade going. So I think we still got to be patient. We'll see this 15-minute candle close in 5 minutes. Also, we're going to get these ISM numbers in 5 minutes as well. So we do have the economic data coming in 5 minutes, which could give us a little bit of an indication more distinctly where we're heading, because we can't seem to break out this top yet. And if you don't break the top, there's a whole if you don't break the low, there's only one place to go. I don't really have one for the top. I need something that rhymes with that. Like if you don't break the top, then the move has to stop. I don't know. I got nothing for.
That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not in the move.
It's not as good as if it doesn't break the low. There's only one place to go.
If there's no top.
Like that one just works.
Yeah, if there's no top, then it must stop. Yeah, I don't know. You're onto something there. Okay, we can look out for that. You have Mars bars for us, says Marine? Yeah, I'm gonna spit some bars for everybody later. Don't worry about it. But right now, yeah, I got to get those all lined up. You know, I'm supposed to have certain breaks and everything in the rhymes. Okay, so I actually just remembering now that we have ISM, this is going to be a dangerous play to be an SLV, because we did talk about here how SLV will monitor and sort of try to watch out for the DXY. So, I don't mind a stronger dollar, but, that's with ISM manufacturing coming out. Is it just manufacturing? Hold on a second.
It's also prices.
Let me just check out. I'm going to check out our note here. Make sure you do grab our Trader TV Live morning note. It's the morning watch list right now. And here's the economic events. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see it. So this is what we're expecting. The link, of course, is in your bio, so make sure you go in our bio. Go check that out right now in the description. You can go grab that. Expected right now, 55 versus 56. Businesses as well, 59 and change, 51 and 8. So we've got a whole bunch of numbers coming through here. 0 prior 63. That must be a misprint. But right into here, we're going to figure out what's going on with ISM services, manufacturing coming out very, very soon at 10 a.m. Go grab that link, of course, in the description, and you can go grab that right now and see what's going on. But we're going to stop out on silver, man, if it takes VWAP, which is 66. So all the way up right now. We did have a profitable trade on it, and now we do not. So bye-bye silver as we wait for it. We did take a couple fills since we got that last one. We got an 83 and an 81 right there. So maybe if we dip down, we can get aggressive play right here on silver. But I think I might be stopped out before that even happens. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, just oopsies. That's not FNMA. Here's FNMA right here. Not doing a whole heck of a lot. These were busy last week. It's down 3% right here again now today. So I just want to talk that to your opinion, to people's attentions. If we do break lower on Fannie Mae, I'll be looking over there. That's 650 right there, looking to break through that level down now 3 1/3.
Here's a beast.
Yeah, go Apple. Apple's a monster, man. I love Apple stock.
Yeah, Apple's really starting to go. You're looking. I know we're looking at the chip name, but this is a legit breakout happening here on Apple on the daily. Through what is it? 257, I guess would have been last week. 56 would have been last week's high. Oh goodness, that's a good looking chart. Apple wins, and you know what? Apple doesn't have to worry about all that spending as well. This is a great looking chart here for Apple. feel like if the market's not going to break the highs and we pull back, Apple's the one, right? It's not the chip names. It's barely Netflix at this point. That one looks a little bit better. Remember we talked about AMD losing the volume weighted average price? It's hard for me to, the break already happened. Like if you had the break early, that trade is gone. It's starting to lose a bit of trend here on AMD, especially if we lose the 222.5. So as I said, the only thing, I'm still only in IBIT. Netflix is looking better, but not perfect. And I just saw Salmon in the chat asking about Intel. We can go through another chip name as well. Intel underneath VWAP, gapped up. Yes, the early move, fantastic on Intel. It went like $1.50 on Intel. That's 3%. It already went up. And we're already back underneath that volume weighted average price. So I see the strength over there in Apple. Let's quickly double check the memory names. Micron, still good, still up 4%, above some of these. Yeah, it's doing a little bit better than some of the other chip names. I don't want to say all of them. But I've got the eyeballs right now. Like you have USO threatening that it could bust through VWAP. If this breaks down, if oil breaks down here, it's hard to imagine a world where we're not going to see some strength flow over into the NASDAQ. If that does, I suspect I'll probably get out of IBIT. But as long as we're holding the line, holding VWAP on an uptrend means the uptrend is intact. So I'm going to continue to short pops. But I'm holding for this to break down. Like I'm not really even scalping out of it because we're not necessarily moving yet. Big time yet. Here for. I just don't see us being this quiet on oil futures, knowing that the president has to come at 1 o'clock and knowing we're about to get ISM in about 5 seconds or so. So that number could shock the markets a little bit here as we get it. Should be in the wires any second now.
54, much higher.
54 is
there. So we'll get all these numbers to you. I'll put them on the screen if and when they show up. But right now, services employment 45, spot 2, lower than the forecast. There goes silver. So we did cover a little bit there into this move. So we did get some 80s. We did get, I believe, a 75 or so print. Sorry, an 80. 80 and 82 is the best we got. And we're going to get blown out right here, breaking back above 60. Here it is, breaking back above 66 goes. Yeah, it's not on the screen right yet, but there it goes. So we hit the fail on the last piece of this SLV trade, but nice move higher there as the dollar goes. And we had sort of, look, there it goes right into the downside. Right there goes the dollar. Back. So unfortunately, that is going to be a little bit of a problem there for this SLV trade. But we just took it out. I'm going to try it again here on SLV because I don't want to just get stopped out completely right off of that open, of the move. So I'm going to go back into there. Well, let's use 66.20 now as our short for SLV. We're back into it right now. Short silver one more time as we just got stopped out there into the move. So it's okay. I'm fine with it, but that's a risk that we just took right there on SLV. One more shot until we break that level, the 200 period. I'm not sure why it just ripped right up into that, but that's a level that I like to look at. So stopped out of our bigger piece there, and now we'll put on a smaller one and see if we can get it back to the downside here and hold just for a bit. Right now, silver looking pretty good to the upside, that's for sure. I really like that Apple move, though. Hoping for a pullback in Apple. Maybe we can grab that.
Yeah, lately these markets have been incredibly active, Sean, and for traders, that environment creates opportunity. Big moves mean more setups and more momentum. But to really take advantage of these conditions, you need two things. You need discipline and you need access to capital. That's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your own account, traders can access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and managing risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal account. No moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is what is called limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now and get 10% off. I want to thank Trade the Pool for sponsoring this portion of the show there. So yeah, we had non-manufacturing PMI was 54 versus 54.8. So it was not huge the other direction. Manufacturing prices for March, 70 versus 63, so a bit of a bump up there for pricing. I got wicked out when we broke through the volume-weighted average price on IBIT. I did pop back in. Look, an economic number comes out, sometimes you trend, you're going to have a stop, and that's going to happen. But as we come back to the downside, the NASDAQ is reversing this move off of the highs after that ISM number. USO is bouncing off of VWAP, so you jump right back, and it's almost like we had a little bit of a hiccup, and then we're back to regularly scheduled programming, which was the market failing some of those highs. So we're trying to come back in, going to continue to reload this one off of the volume-weighted average price, and USO just does not seem to want to go yet. Am I getting Boyle fill? Nah, Boyle's not really bouncing with USO. USO's bouncing, but Boyle is not. So as long as that trend continues, we get back to the highs, I'll just short Boyle probably at VWAP. I don't think we're getting back into the high HOD here.
Oh, yeah. We're back to big time positive now. Like, what a crazy, by the way, Tesla making moves lower right there. I don't know, but we are right back into this trade on SLV. We get, being in something at a number, it is pretty risky, obviously, and did not really expect that kind of a move higher, but what are we going to do? That's why we stop out. There's the VWAP take back down in. Now we go lower, so we're covering, and now we are back. We're only up half now on our daily goal, so hopefully we get a little bit lower here. We can get back to where we were before. Like, I'm talking about, like, I'm still lower than where we were when the market was down here, right? Even though we take that hit, and now okay, now we're about back to where we need to be. So good short there on silver. Let's see if we can hold it. We're out of just over half. We put on 5 more. We had 6 units. We put on 5 more right there back to the downside. So stopped out. So we had 6 units at the top. Now we only have 5, and the thing is that by the time that broke through, we had about 3.5 units left. Remember we said we got out of 40%. So net, it's about a flat. We're up now. We're up quite nicely, but I'm just going to start to get out a little bit more there. I wish we obviously held the full boat, but that's okay. That's good. All right, Marvell, man, one of my good friends there. Wow, got to 112. That is where the players dwell. And then it made a move right back in now into 107. This market is really losing the bid now, as you can see what's happening. And hallelujah, this sort of silver to dollar trade now starting to work out here. As we talked about, we'd like to see a little bit of a stronger US dollar in order for our SLV trade to start to print right now. I'm going to put another bid on right here, as we have unrealized right now in the account. We have about our goal, but we need to realize it in order for it to actually be in our pocket. So we'll take another bid out there at 60s, and now we'll wait for a 50 move lower there. High oil prices, yeah, well, triggering a recession. I don't think it's if we get, did it say if we have oil prices? Oh, warns.
It's warns.
Okay, because we have high oil prices, and I believe
Jamie.
Mr. Jamie Dimon on that one.
I would tend to agree with him here, and it's not
silver.
Not looking very good. You're seeing us absolutely wreck back into the downside here. The Nasdaq is going to trend back in at the lows at this point, so everything is looking pretty bad. Thanks, we're up so much. We're right back in the lows. That's what happens when you get stopped. But we're going to try to continue to play the shorts. I'm actually looking over an AMD, which was a breakout long. That's reversed that trend. It's no longer looking like any kind of a long trade. Nike, I know I said Nike was a short, but if you're shorting pops, this really has not had any kind of a pop. It's not at the low from Thursday yet, but it's getting pretty darn close, and I don't want to be short at the bottom. Nike should not be SSR. It's making its first bounce here since the number, so I'm going to take this one back into the volume-weighted average price. If we can hopefully get something other than Bitcoin. Everything is looking pretty bad except for Apple, I think. Apple's holding up pretty well. Obviously, if you're in USO, that's at the high of the day. So energy prices, good. Apple holding up some strength. Not too much else looking positive here for us, unless you may be looking at a couple of small cappers. We did have some gappers this morning that maybe we'll get to. It was an FCUV was one of them.
We're give me 41s. We just got the low of the day. If we can get it again right now, then this will be huge for this silver trade. We almost have the high and the low. I mean, we got stopped out pretty much at the high, at the 200. Okay, we get 41s again. No, I'm bidding 41s, and then we'll let this thing go. And you might be wondering, like, how low can we go here on silver? Like, there we go. We get 41s. All right, so just so you know, I'm out of 50% left, so still a big piece left. Yeah, so this is where we're getting out right now at 40, so no surprise here that this is the new low of the day right now for silver as it comes back, for SLV, as it comes into this 40 marker. So now the next area down for the support would be right around 65.15s, 65.20s. So I'm going to put a bid right there at 65.30, and we'll see if we can get a fill there, and then we'll put another bid a little lower into the teens and see, of course, if we can get another fill down there. So that's what we're trying to break lower right now on SLV as the US dollar continues to creep just a little bit higher right now. So we can go back and check. We had that poll up. Maybe we can get a new poll. 69.2. So yeah, obviously IBIT going short now.
It was exactly 50-50.
It's 50-50. Okay, so that was whether or not the market was going to bounce or not off the open, I believe, wasn't it? And it does make a nice move there off the open, bounces into the low of the day, creates a new high, breaks through on the ISM net number, and now comes right back in. We do have Adara back with us, I believe, on Wednesday, and unfortunately,
tomorrow, I thought.
Is it tomorrow? Okay, great.
Yeah,
so more news being read there. We are looking, man. We have our own news screeners. We have the Twitter machine up. We've got everything going on, our own news wires, the Benzinga platform and everything. So we will get you guys any sort of stories that come through, and maybe or maybe not, Sia will be here at some point today.
I just saw a headline for the Trump account.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's go.
Oh, that's way too long. Sorry, if you throw these ones up, sometimes they're like way too long. Treasury Department just announced that it has designated the Bank of New York Mellon as the financial agent to manage the initial Trump accounts for American newborns. BNY is partnering with Robinhood to tap its design and technology know-how to develop Trump accounts, app, and provide customer service. Is Robinhood getting any kind of...
Yeah, it's trying.
Yeah, apologies to New York Bank, to New York Mellon. It's probably Hood, I think, that we care a little bit more about if it's going to make any kind of move. It's still at $70. That's good. Hey, this is actually relatively strong here, Robinhood. That's not so bad. That's not so bad, Hood. Hood breaking trend, taking this story positively. I own Robinhood. Hasn't been that great the last couple of weeks, but no real breakout on the daily. A close over 70.25 on the 15-minute would look a little bit bullish. So maybe that story is enough to have that continue its relative strength to the markets. I did finally get in Nike. It's a bit of a chase, but it's a stair step down. And the latest step under here was like 43.75, and there's still some room into the low of the day as Nike continues to hold trend. So I'll just give this one to the prior resistance level, as we're not quite at the volume weighted average price. But Nike was always going to be a short till it ain't after their guidance miss, big time guidance disappointment for Nike.
Suck.
Anytime I remember, I was listening to I guess on CBC they were talking about the call, and they're just like, they should just get out of the guidance business. Sometimes it's bad.
I know.
Sometimes it's bad enough.
They don't have to guide.
No, they talk so much about uncertainties and this and that. It's like, well, if you're so uncertain, then just don't give guidance at all if you're so uncertain. So that super chat up here, if we can, Andre. Cater, SMX, new production, tokenization of real world assets.
Like which real world assets,
yes.
I wonder.
Which in particular?
Yeah, I mean, are they going to tokenize gold, silver, things like that? No, SM.
SMX.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a stock? I haven't looked at that yet today.
It's a small capper.
Oh, wow, okay.
If you're looking for strength, it better be in a small capper. Let's be real. Or Apple, because everything else is looking incredibly weak. Especially given the fact that we're up today. Like the market's still actually in the green despite failing some of that top. SMX, that's a squeeze. But remember, habitual line steppers are what they are. And this has, reverse split, done you dirty multiple times. So these things are around for a good time, not a long time. That's Shree's saying, and I think it's an apt one when you talk about some of these squeeze plays.
Right. Yeah, we should be in Sharif back this week as well. Yeah, here's Bank of New York Mellon, so BK, starting to go higher a little bit on that news. I thought it would have been a little bit higher than this. So I'm thinking that there was probably some rumors or something about Bank of New York Mellon. They're getting those Trump accounts to begin with. Nice move higher over the last couple of days here on this spot. So yeah, it doesn't makes sense to me why we continue to climb here on BK. And look, what a good couple days. Obviously, the market's also recovered, but that looking like a good little bottom there. I think, you know what? I mean, look, the stock market is obviously a wealth generator over time. And if we can get those accounts going, I think it just sparks more education. I really, shout out to Michael Dell and company there for getting that going, and President Trump as well, obviously for these aforenamed Trump accounts. I think that's great. So I like BK, and if that solidifies sort of their market share on some of those investment platforms, and especially dealing with Robinhood, I'm not sure exactly what the sort of tie-up would be there, but I like it for BK more than Robinhood, but I still like the fact that Robinhood's name is sloshed around in there. So that's definitely something to think about there for Robinhood investors. Good story, so that should be fine. Better than saying like not having their name involved. We'll take that 10 times out of 10. Okay, so here we go, man. I did want Intel down near 50 bucks. Silver is holding the day for me today. I mean, we've got our daily goal there on silver right now if we were to flatten it out. So I'm going to wait for a little lower. I do think that with more uncertainties in this world, I don't mind looking for a stronger US dollar and a weaker spot in gold and in silver and in USO. So hopefully that can all get going. USO stronger though, actually, I think. Is it?
No, it's breaking back down.
Breaking back down right now. Okay, so so maybe that we might have to look at silver and potentially get out. But Intel's still a good look. I don't want to go short. It is breaking the low. I want to have a look if this gets to 50 bucks. So I like it down into there. That's sort of Friday's zone where we closed at $50. We did break a little bit through it. It didn't have a whole bunch of like, booming action off of that 50 because we actually got into that around noon or even before that, 10 o'clock, and then faded back and sort of just got back into there at the open. So let's wait to see at the close rate. Let's wait to see if $50, does come into play here for USO. For Intel, thinking too much about oil there. So yeah, so there goes the move back in silver. I only have 40% left. We sort of showed you that area of supply that was back into there, and at this point, would be demand rather than supply, but back into 65.40. So that's where a lot of our cover happened. We still have 40% left as it's getting back up to those upsides. So yeah, remember I mentioned to you, like, if you want to cover when you hit certain levels, that's not a horrible time. We could have covered twice down there for silver and reloaded it. So although we've been good on the reload got us back to Greensville. And that's what trading is, right? We don't have that crystal ball. Like, if I knew that it would stop down there, I just would have got out of it all and reloaded it basically at any point is better than holding it. So we'll get some more out here if we do dip down. But I really do like Apple for strength. Let it come back in. If it does do that, watch out for your 50 period at 258.50. Would love to get a 258.50 fill there on Apple right now. That's $1.50 lower. And then the other name I wanted to look at was Marvell. It went down to 07s. Is it bouncing on some strength? Yeah, it got down to 06. So on market strength, I think Marvell also appreciates back to the north side. So a couple ideas I'm working with right there. And that SMX also was a pretty strong name, up 45%.
Yeah, good look at that SMX, and thank you for the super chat there. We'll get to the poll in a quick little second, but as I was sort of saying right before we went back over, you have USO back into VWAP. This is like that tripping point. If we hold here and break down, I think you make another leg up. Until that happens, Bitcoin came back into the volume weighted average price, so I got the reload. The order was already out. Not going to let this get. We're stretched enough past the volume weighted average price that letting it get up that far to the prior high is not going to be the jam. So I have to tighten it up closer to VWAP here. But if the plan of action was to be short in front of VWAP, then we're here now. Nike basically doing the same thing, but Netflix for the first time today is starting to look good at that $100 level. Unless you took the initial breakout. We've got higher lows finally going into that 100 level and lower highs as well. So you have a bit of a wedge pattern forming for a potential breakout over 100 here. Hasn't happened yet, but it's getting pretty close, and I'm not getting into Netflix unless it shows me the strength over, not under that $100 level. And now that we're open for a while, the other poll was 50-50, exactly 50-50. I'm kind of hoping we'll have some better sense here and not have to go to the crystal ball as you were joking around with Sean. Will the SPY hold green today? The SPY is up 1/3%, but I'm just talking hold on to these gains. Like so far, you failed to top and come back in. The NASDAQ's a little bit higher, but it hasn't felt too bullish. So we'll go ones are gonna be yes, and then twos are no. So get into the chat. Type what you think. It's very simple, just a 1 or a 2 and keep it simple. Looks like people are liking the green a little bit better, and as I say that, it goes back to 50-50. It was literally 65% for a couple of seconds there, and now the no's are starting to come in. Now the no's are taking the lead. Yeah, it's about as definitive as it was in the pre-market, everybody. We're back to the whole 50-50. And so keep the votes coming in here. Let's see if we get any distinct direction. I feel, you know what, that just sums up this market for now. All we have done since we sat down here this morning is run the lows, run the highs, revisit the lows. So why would anybody be optimistic that we're going to bust it out here today? But it's skewed towards green. I even gave you a little bit of a just hold on to the gains here. So you'd think there would have been more excitement for the upside when I basically gave you guys a crutch. All we have to do is hold green in this case, and we're still at 50-50.
Yeah, so here's this SMX. I can't, unfortunately, we don't really have anything that I can call it up. It's not on our newsreader here yet. But SMX, a leader in digital molecular marketing and blockchain-backed digital infrastructure, announces today that they are going to have a new program out here, the DMPP, which will allow them to verify, trace tradable digital assets as well as real-world physical assets and materials can become financial instruments here. So this is a very interesting idea for SMX, and I think something that they've been working on. So, you know, congratulations to SMX shareholders, as it looks like it's going to be a very, very good trade here today, especially if you got that story earlier enough in the morning there. Short float of only 3%. Again, security matters definitely today. It looks like it's trying to get going. There it is, man, 850 up to 1450. SMX right now, float of only 2.5 million shares done, almost 2.5 million shares right now. So this story, this may just be going now, getting going. So I think SMX, something to look at. If we do sort of zoom back out, we have a couple reverse splits here, I believe, for SMX, because our charts generally, look like that when that, here. So let me just show you e-signal, and then at any point, by the way, Mr. Andre, you can throw up that super chat at any time. So we do, we have so many splits, it's ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 splits going all the way back to 24. July 24, 7 splits right here. The high of security matters, I don't even know what this price is, 850 million, I think. There for
is it 84? It doesn't. I'm literally
853, 84. No, it's 85 million. $85 million for SMX. So the good news. Okay, we'll go over there. Yeah, I can see the market's getting higher here as USO going down. So that sucks for my oil. But SMX with an $85 million high, this one has room to run. Okay, thank you, Randy, for the reload. We're reloaded. On coffee, yeah, well, it is number 3, but as you can see here, this is still, we didn't drink too much of that. All right, thank you, Randy, we are reloaded. I'm reloaded! All right, thank you for that. And Randy, you can buy some SMX here. It's $15, it has a high of 85 million.
Or
so
maybe not.
About retiring a little earlier, you know. I mean, if this thing goes back to its highs, Neil.
Oh, this was a super chat from VWAP. VWAP, that as
what?
Trader TV Live. Hey, how does a Trader TV Live private equity firm sound? Judging by roughly 7,500 daily users, there's a second.
We have many more daily users.
We coordinate and transform that into micromanaged, orchestrated price movement as we focus on one ticket, resulting in. No, we're not.
We're not going to be doing anything like that.
That's not how we roll.
But we do want to thank everybody for watching.
Yeah, we appreciate, and we definitely want to thank everyone for watching and tuning in. The idea is
you have the option to like and subscribe. This
I like that.
Has unlimited upside.
There you go.
I like that, Joey Options. Joe's in the hood over there. What is it with the hood? First of all.
Yeah, man, he's just chilling out, man.
By the way, the market is now screaming back to the upside. So first things first, I'll quickly update. Got out at VWAP through IBIT. The whole time, it's like this one will turn red because I have not really been covering except for at the low of the day. But that move in USO has really shifted. There's the breakdown in USO. I'll slap a gigantic fail for not shorting Boyle. I never got into this one, and it was hindsight will be 2020. It was gapped up. It certainly held that resistance level. It even gave you the consolidation off of VWAP. But with USO heading back into the downside, it looks like it's going to be all systems go. So if you voted 1, to me, you're right at this particular point. But it's still early. You have to hold on to the gains. The NASDAQ and the ES trading right back into some of those highs. Unfortunately, though, Netflix is not yet breaking out higher off that wedge. It's still inside the pattern, but there hasn't been the breakout yet on Netflix. So I'll be patient with it. Netflix, you want it to hold the 100 level, and if you're wondering why does 100 matter outside of being a fat round number, well, $100 was the prior high back in the beginning of March, and I want to see it have buyers above $100. That would be pretty key as well. Medical Marinera is talking about Intel is going. That makes some sense to me. Probably AMD as well. Markets back to the highs.
Medical Marinera, that's great. Okay, so I was just looking.
I love that name.
Yeah, no, that's a great name. I was actually looking at this SMX here. Yeah, I mean, you know,
Intel's not
that story. Like this is just getting going. Like this is just 850 right down here. Sure, it's up 80%. Obviously, understood. But you know, it's kind of absorbed this VWAP a couple times. So. Want to watch it. Let's see if it gets back into $13, $14 maybe, something like that for SMX. I think if you're a trader of that, you might as well hold. We got some couple super chats there saying SMX maybe as the retirement trade. I was just joking about this going to $85 million. Obviously, you got to watch out for how many times this name has gone back and forth, right? And so just be careful with it. Back into $13, $13.50. There it is, right? What's up, Cater? I think you might be. I mean. It's a great trade so far here. And if you got that story early, there's the bounce on SMX back in right now. So definitely a look on that one right now. So this is from Financial Juice. I'm going to send this. There's a fear and greed index indicator right now. It's at 22 out of 100, which means that there's extreme fear in the market right now. So we'll clear that out. And I think if you're going to look at like UVXY, this is the volatility here for the VIX. You're going to see this one starting to get escalated. I mean, today it's fine. It's downside. But we've seen it sort of take off here. So I'm surprised that it's still at that sort of level there, according to Financial Juice. I don't know if that's true or not. But also the crypto here, they also have this. I've actually never seen this one. The crypto fear index right now, 13 out of 100 right now. So they're not really loving the market right now, but the market's come back in the last couple of days.
That far
for VIX.
You think the other way?
That's exactly it. It's like when there's blood in the streets, you sometimes want to think almost oppo. And for me on Bitcoin, I've been going up, not going oppo. I only bought one time at 66 flat. I just sat there. I used IBIT. And the reason why I talk about 66 is I remember I was waiting for it. As soon as it got to 66, I just went in and bought IBIT. I can't remember what exactly the price is here. Look at the dollar, man. I can't win on this silver trade if this is what's going to happen. But I'm still waiting right now for.
So too.
Yeah, I know it's all happening at once, but I did not reload it. So my reload was going to be at 66.10. So I'm actually waiting for that exact price. I'm trying to be a little bit greedy. Not greedy, I guess the word's not greedy, it's patient. Trying to be patient with that. And then if it breaks, then we can give it about 10 cents to the upside. And if this little whoosh happens one more time, fine. I'm now out of I have about 35% left. So we're out of 65% of this, and a lot of it, man, like we waited for this move. So a lot of it out right where we wanted to at the lows of the day and at a level that paired off with what we had seen on Thursday. I keep saying Friday, on Thursday. All right, so these bottoms right there is where we sort of emptied out. We did get stopped at once on ISM manufacturing numbers. We talked about, or services, I think it was. We did look at that, but we got back in there. It did work out for the fade side back in there on SLV. So we'll have to see if that continues to work. And I was looking for an
it was
NVIDIA
both.
short.
It was ISM manufacturing and services numbers came out. Services was basically flat.
And NVIDIA, I should have shorted there at 177. This was a trade that I was actually thinking about. I did not do it, obviously, or you would have seen me tell you guys. But that's not a bad level. So what about looking at NVIDIA if it does come back up into here, 177? I think that's under, I mean, we'd be above VWAP, but we would come right back in, try to absorb that underneath the 200 period. I mean, the better trade might be 177.50 if you really want to wait for it, but that's not horrible. I don't mind a 177 take. They're short against 177.15s, like 15 cents worth of risk there to see if you can catch a monster on, or at least not a monster, but maybe 4 or 5 to 1 back into there. So I think that's a good possibility there for NVIDIA. So something to look forward to.
Random oddities. I'll get to your AMD question because I do have a response for what was that AMD move this morning. I think it was technical, but Nike does not hold trend. It was holding on the 15-minute. There's your false break. Join the trend on the break at the low of the day. And again, just like I did, like I was holding this for to fill the gap. Like I wanted that to go $1 to the downside off of that 43 3/4 mark. But once it breaks the prior bar in the 15-minute, that's the out. And so we're going to take that every single time. As far as AMD, I think it was a technical break on AMD. And then for now, it looks like we're just reversing the move. Go all the way back here. AMD was trend up, pretty strong on Friday. You have the markets bouncing off the lows. And once we got through 221, good to go, but it's failed that breakout now on AMD. Failed the breakout, making lower lows, making lower highs in addition to that. So with this, you know what, I really don't like that one to the long side if it doesn't hold the 221. I'm going to jump back over to USO because we can rectify a mistake if this actually bounces. So USO is trying to get back higher. We went into the red, from green to red. We went red to green, and then now green to red on oil futures, but it hasn't been more than like a point in either direction. Throughout that entire time, just like last week, oil has been a dog and relatively weak. Gave up all of its gap gains. So any bounce, like next available bounce, is going to continue to be the player. As long as I see USO trending down, there's still room to the bottom. It's got 2% till it gets to the actual low of the day. So I think this one going red makes a little bit of sense. It's just incredibly weak here when it comes to bull. Nat gas hasn't been able to get off the schneid. And then remember, we have the president at 1 o'clock, or around 1 o'clock. We're expecting the president to speak. I would suspect that it should be a little bit market moving, right? With not too long until this recent deadline is going to be up tomorrow. And given the language that we got over the weekend, I would suspect you're going to see the oil futures probably move around a little bit here. But for now, they're looking a little bit weak. As long as USO pops, I want to try to get into that boil. Netflix does not want to break higher. So thankfully, we're not forcing that one either. You had to have Netflix at the open. That was the only long available. This one looks like it's trying to fill in that gap. And as I said earlier, until it gets down to fill in the gap at the bottom, I don't even want that bounce play on Netflix. Looking too weak.
Yeah, oh, Netflix is not bouncing, okay.
It's still green, but it's at the low of the day. And the market's at VWAP.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to give this one a little bit of room. We're going to try to go short here around that 177 marker on NVDA. We're still short silver. We don't have a reload there yet. Here comes NVIDIA trying to make a move back up. Let me just explain what I'm trying to do here on NVIDIA. So I was just thinking about these tops. I mean, I feel like we've topped out a little bit. It is underneath. The NASDAQ is pretty strong. If the NASDAQ wants to run back up to the top, I'd actually take that NVIDIA short and just see if it wants to break higher. This is the 50-period moving average right now. We're underneath it. This is why I'm going short. You know, we've been underneath right here. That's 177.40. I don't want to give it that high. I'm just going to give it to like a 177.20 or so, Phil. But if we can get a short around 177, which it's there now, then that's going to be something I'm going to take and see if we have some pressure on the market and get back down in there. It's obviously, this is just a channel that we're stuck in right now between 177.50 and 176, but we're closer to the top than we are to the lows. I think I'm going to try to go short right now. Although the market, I'm surprised NVIDIA is this weak. So I'm just going to try the short. I think it's there. We'll have a look at that. We are going to get more short at 66.10 on silver, and then we'll wait to see. You know, if Intel's going to be weak today, it's still up 1%, but it's, you know, just trying to bounce off the lows. So I think we did pretty good looking for this long around 50, but maybe we were just a little too low there on that. I mean, it is a nice pullback. It does get into 50-50s, and we're looking for 50 again just because that's where we closed. There's some decent levels there. And even if it gets into 50, like, are you going to stop out? Like, that's 49 is where your 200-period moving average is right there. So that could be a look also, which kind of matches, you know, if we're right and NVIDIA does come down, I mean, I'm almost short. I'm waiting for 177 break, then we'll get short on NVIDIA. If that works and the market comes in, also looking to maybe buy some Intel in and around that 50 and looking at 49 again there. We had, let's look at some other spots here. It's 10:31. We do have the midday show coming with Obi and Joe, so that should be a lot of fun for you guys as well. You get a couple different styles of trade happening other than Neil and I. All right, so here it is. Silver, my position, but this is what the market looks like in a pretty good day overall. So I would say pretty awesome. You know, depending where you are, I mean, some of the energy space is going to be low today, but you can't complain in the energy patch if you're long anything over there. You had a great couple days and couple weeks, couple months on energy, so we'll wait to see if ExxonMobil can get back going. Broadcom down, so that's funny. I mean, Marvell was upside. We can have a look at some of those ASICs later. JP Morgan and some of the financials trying to, as if, man, NVIDIA kind of goes goes right to 177 and comes back. Now it's at 176.70. We could have hit that as well. Capital One, some of the financials there. JP Morgan coming next week, the 14th. So that should be exciting to hit there for JPM next week as bank season kicks off, or the big earnings season kicks off. We have Delta this week, and I believe Levi Strauss this week. So not too much going on here. We got a super chat about TJX and some of the, there's Ross stores as well. Walmart's upside. I don't see, there's Target up 1.25. Yeah, Target 120. Yes, 121.50s right there for Target. We like that play there as well. Carvana continues to go downside a little bit off of splitting action there for Carvana. But yeah, silver not doing a whole heck of a lot right now. I'm just kind of sitting on this trade here with SLV. Well, now it's starting to go downside. See, we did not reload it. We could have. We're waiting at 66.10, guys. It got to 66.08. So missed it by a couple of cents. And then our NVIDIA trade was at 177.05. It gets to a little bit, not that close, 176.95. So a couple trades working out so far there. Sharif is back. I don't know if Wednesday or...
Let me double check. I thought it was end of the week. Looks like Thursday he'll be back. And Darius should be back tomorrow, I believe. So all systems go. And thank you guys for all of your questions. And people think, well, where's the news? Where's the There haven't been too many headlines that we've been able to see here. Like we did have a couple. We sort of talked about the CrowdStrike, and that was kind of a minor story. Robinhood, the Trump accounts, that was a bit of a minor story as well, not really moving the market. And I think the president's going to be a bigger deal come 10 o'clock, or sorry, come 1 o'clock. It's already well past 1 o'clock. I think that'll be a big deal. Intel, you were mentioning Intel. This just feels like a false breakout. It's a false breakout with a lower high. I was putting that one into the chat. So if this gets to VWAP first, that's going to set up. And a lot of people were mentioning MSTR and BMNR, like strategy and BMNR have been incredibly strong relative to what's going on in crypto. Like you're barely breaking out. Like since I got out of the short in Bitcoin, it's barely even broken that top, only by a couple of pennies. So I would still maintain we're relatively weak compared to some of these treasury names. These are really starting to extend higher as that and BMNR go. But if we're not breaking out the highs, and Bitcoin's at 69.6, we're not breaking 70,000. We're holding resistance under 70,000. If we can't take out that top, these start to look like reversion plays to me. The longer we hold that trend without anything too crazy happening in crypto, like that is a very distinct upward trend on BMNR. So thank you guys for pointing it out. At least as in terms of preparation, I just double checked. I'm gonna go pay for locates in case we get a trend break here on BMNR. 7.5% up, almost double what we're seeing in some of the underlying without us taking out any highs. I think that looks like a good trend break, but we'll have to go pay for some locates on BMNR. Here.
Yeah, something about
Intel, right?
Yeah, Intel with Google or something. I don't know. Normally when we get those highlights, we don't see this kind of action, not doing anything. So we'll wait to see about a story from Intel coming through here. Right now we'll check our news sources and get that going for you again. So silver there, we do get our 10s, a little bit of a fill here. We'll see if we can get a little bit more out, maybe at 66. We got 10s, it came back, I actually took 5s, and then we took some 10s as well. And we were gonna get stopped out at 20s. So I was like, okay, well, if we could take out 5%, which was actually 10% there at 66. We'll do that. I'll do it again right now for less this time, but we'll see if we get some more there at 66. Just trying to go 1-to-1 here. There it goes on SLV because we haven't necessarily been right here, right? It's been sort of moving higher against us as this day goes on. So I'm bidding 95s. Maybe we can get out another piece right here. We're still well in the pocket. I mean, we're still up nicely here on SLV and on some of our ideas there today as we will wait for a bid to come in on SLV. Still not seeing anything on that Intel story, but we did hear about it, and I'm not sure if it's really doing anything.
Intelligence talks with Google and Amazon.
Okay.
They're over advanced semiconductor packaging service deals, citing sources. That's coming from Wired. So we heard the same thing, Darwin. I'd put it up. I haven't seen it in print, though.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it's moving Intel all that much. It's bouncing a little bit here. The first thing was, oh, well, do I still want to short this one off these lower highs if it gets into VWAP? I I'd say so. That news doesn't seem to be moving yet, but you're getting a bit of a delayed reaction, so maybe let's see if it can press it a little bit higher. So that or BMNR is likely to be next for myself. We just made a fresh high over there on Bitcoin, but we're still at 69.7. It's been a very distinct trend here. Yeah, just heard that Iran is giving a response via Pakistan. We'll see. Again, the president's due in a couple of hours here, and let's see if the language is just as harsh. And if it is, I can't really see us breaking out highs if the rhetoric remains the same.
All right, guys, another one, another 2-to-1 trade over here. Hopefully you guys are able to take that. We're now getting, yes, go, Silver. All right, man, there it is. Here we go. So that was a good trade here on SLV. You can see the quotes are a little bit everywhere right now. So we do take some bids. There we go. We get some bids in the 80s now as Silver's just dancing around. There's an 84 again, 83s. We are now close to the high of the day right now for my account anyways on this trade. As down comes Silver, we take it perfectly at the 200. Yes. Holy shit, Neil. This is a good one right now as we go bearish on S. Yes. Okay. Iran rejecting the ceasefire right now. So President Trump also apparently did not agree to anything like this. So more to come on this. But there it goes right now. And holy crap, did we ever get lucky right there? We're at the highest spot we've been at all day right now. How about that reload right there? I hope you guys are part of the chicken dinner winner family because that was a monster right there. We waited for 66.10. We talked about it. Now this trade, we gave this trade to you 66.10, right? For 10 cents worth of a hit. It's now 35 in the money. We just cover on that news to the downside right there. And again, looky, man. I have this up. I might just put this up somewhere. I'm trying to find some more screen room, but there goes that boom right there to the upside. So we'll figure it out, but there it goes, man. Nice move up on the DXY. And yeah, there it goes. So that was a good one there. As we'll just cover a little bit more on this, right? We don't need to be sitting here and getting too greedy with this trade as headlines are flying through right now. We are now out of half of this trade. I'm going to bid again, just because, again, a little nervous. So we'll put a bid there at 79, see if we can get that fill, and then we'll just wait for a little bit of a lower bid, maybe again into these 60s and 50s. But there it goes, man. An absolute monster there to get us back to where we need to be on our day for SLV. Just one trade for me today. Just kept on shorting, man. Kept on sticking with the rhetoric that we had, shorting on silver, and it definitely pays off to the short side.
Absolutely, and as you see, rejecting that ceasefire. So if you're waiting for a trend break, the market just broke. We broke VWAP in there, and I don't know. We'll see in about 2 hours how much this is going to end up mattering. But rejecting the ceasefire, I can imagine it is going to look a little bit nasty when the president gets word of that. But BMNR, we're waiting for it. It broke the trend on that headline. I'll look for the volume weighted average price here if we're able to get it. Intel also came back in. That's the other one here for us. So basically put in the lower high. As long as it holds this lower high, I think we're good to go and play this one trend into the downside. Obviously, I was saying with BMNR, Bitcoin also broke trend pretty heavily in there, but I was looking at BMNR in that particular moment. So rejecting the ceasefire, you know that's going to cause the spike up in oil prices, but they got the VWAP and are already coming back in. So we've seen this before. We get a big time headline, or let's call it a relatively big headline, and then we get a big spike in oil futures, and then it travels back in. But you know what? We were at 137 when the news hit. You went to 138. You're back to 137. So that support post-headline seems like it can hold a little bit here. That would be the reload spot if we can get anything back in BMNR, but that's not bouncing back to our entry just yet. So keep an eye on 137 on USO. That's where we're sitting when this news hit, or when this headline dropped, I should say, more importantly. Iran, okay.
Yeah, I'm just dropping all
demanding, also including reconstruction and lifting of sanctions. Well, they were already asking for that, right?
Yeah, they wanted all rebuilt back up and everything.
Caterpillar.
So just be careful. Yeah.
Caterpillar.
Michael Noss mentioned Caterpillar.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like, who do you think gets to rebuild all these?
Yeah, but we don't have to whisper it.
They will be.
Okay, so yeah, I do like Caterpillar. I like all of those guys as well. So I'm just getting out of silver. I mean, forget this, man. On this news, we're going to make sure that we do have enough here, in the quiver if this market moves against or the other way. But there's another cover at O's. I'm going to get another cover at 95, and then we can let the rest roll, and I'll have 25%. And then if it breaks higher, I just want to make sure the math is mathing, right? I mean, I don't want to hold the whole thing right back to get shut down. We had a 3-to-1 trade. We did cover a bunch of it there. I was waiting for lower. You never know where the news is going to take this market. So we'll wait for that and then hopefully get a 95. And hey, man, now if we get stopped out on a break of 20, then we get stopped out on a break of 20. We can now, safely hold on to that trade. Yeah, so Meta's had quite, there we go. Yes. All right, Meta, yeah, not good for Meta. Yeah, one more time, Joe. There goes Meta to the downside here as we keep on, I don't know, Ramin, I don't know who did that. Oh, thanks, Andre. Andre liking that one there. As there it goes, now Meta going back to zeros as well, as that's now near the day's low. That's not what we're celebrating for, but we always talk about how closing prices very key, and right there on Meta, you're seeing it come right back into 574. This is what all of those are for, because there it comes right again as we get VWAP again at 80s, at 90s. They're for silver. So once again, another 2-to-1 trade going on. Look, man, I'm well in the green today just on one trade. I know you only have 2 or 3 symbols yourself, so it's been very specific. We actually got that super chat about being specific with the trading and everything like that. Oh. So that's what we do, and that's what I do today. And it's been one heck of a day, needless to say. We did write down just on one trade, though. I mean, I'm hoping it can go lower. Maybe it won't. Palantir there, 147 was what I was looking at. It's bounced off a couple times at 147.80. It's just hilarious. Like, we sit here and just blow all this smoke and waste all this energy and all this time, and the futures are almost right back to where we started. We're right back at VWAP again for the futures and the NASDAQ. And yeah, here's where we opened up, I guess, down here near the lows. But there's that initial pop, and that's right where we are right now. After the first minute of trading, you go up, we go down and make a new low, then a brand new high on ISM right there, stopping out of our only red silver trade right there. Got back in, right back up to highs, and right in the middle again. So stuck in the middle is the market. And here we go, man. We are going to continue to hold on to this trade. Now 25 cents in the money. It's SLV, and it's what I have now. Sia should be in today, as far as we know, at noon.
Oh, so welcome back, Sia.
Yeah. More news stories coming through there.
Glad to see her come back. And you talk about the market being in the same spot. Well, USO is in the same spot as well. So that 137 to 138, it's still playing by those rules. And as long as we hold, so the headline came out, which was Iran rejecting the ceasefire. It was holding 137 at USO. That's continuing to hold very well. Once it breaks through VWAP, I think that's when you can maybe retest some of these lows of the day. Unfortunately, holding that 137 is not going to be great for the market. Even Apple, strongest of the Mag 7 names this morning, I'm pretty sure, at least from what I've seen, it's the strongest of the Mag 7.
Oh, that NVIDIA
That's really starting to break down here. So it's losing the upward trend. Intel, which, Intel's a disappointing one. This one fills in the gap at about 50 1/3, I believe. So it's like 50, the prior close was 50.38 or something. So if it gets down there, respect the fact that that was a double top on Thursday, and that will be the target, because we're a little bit late to that trade. And then BMNR and Bitcoin, as long as Bitcoin holds under VWAP, I think this trend break gets to VWAP, so simple trend break, and then play it into the volume weighted average price. But the reversal, it really just matters whether we hold this range in oil and break higher above 138. That's the continuation play for shorts. But if we don't do that, then it's another one of those like nothing burger headlines. It just spikes us a little bit. You get a little bit of a trend up, and then we resume what it was doing before. Because remember, USO was dropping for the last 40 minutes or so, or the last 30 minutes or so going into that headline. So about 15 minutes, and we ship you guys to the midday. Remember the president speaking at 1 o'clock. If you're watching the space names, that Artemis flyby isn't until 3.
Yeah, I just put this up. Yeah,
expect to see some good news.
I think that's gonna be great. I mean, watching the space names,
so cool, man.
Might be something. I just asked, did anybody get 177? And Trader 6, man, you're listening to me too much, but I do appreciate it. I love that. Right there, you said you were waiting for 177, same as me, man. I was at 177.05. It went to 176.95, and there's the push down there in NVIDIA. So I think we did well by well spotted. there, but we did not pull the shoot over there on that name. So, my bad over there, but not my bad over here, Trader 6. I hope you do have this one as well. We'll clear that as there it goes. Yeah, I am. Yo, what's up, Taylor? I just want to tell you right here, I am also long NVIDIA literally forever. I am never selling my NVIDIA shares until I retire. I feel like. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I love some NVIDIA there. We're just, of course, Neil and I are sitting on a prop floor, so we go in and out of trades pretty much all day. And for me, it's been a very, very simple trade today. Short silver, as you can tell. Hi-ho. There. We only have, and that's our stop out right there on ISM. And of course, it bounces right to the 200. And I say, haha, fool me once. And then we just absolutely destroy it on the backside. I'll take another 80 fill. We just took an 81 fill. I'm not sure how, there we go, we got 80. I'm not sure how low this will go. We do have some fills at 70. I really do want to wait for down here and see if this will develop into something. Apple maybe on the comeback downside right now. So, into VWAP, 259.50. Can't hate on that one. With all this news going through on USO, it's not really doing anything. Too much, just kind of bouncing back and forth. Yeah, so VWAP is 259.60 there on Apple. Nothing wrong with that, because you're not going to get the 200 period. So sometimes it's about waiting for certain things to come through, and this does not look like this is going to come through right now, unless the market really craps, right? And if it does, then we're already laughing all the way to the freaking bank. This is, again, another 3-to-1 trade. Hopefully you guys are following some of these trades, man. We've been doing it last week. We've been doing it for quite a while now, putting on some of these bigger ones. We got stopped out when stop outs are there, but for right now, all good. If we have 2 super chats, Andre, then let's roll them, because it's almost what's for lunch.
I haven't even seen it.
No trusting these markets. Still short BTC. Yeah, I mean,
what's the OBJ?
What's up, JK Premium Hunter? So I just wanted to say, yeah, good look on that one, right? I mean, if you do like the short there on Bitcoin, we did talk about that bouncing off of 70 could be a trade. I don't mind it. I haven't bought any Bitcoin except for 66, so maybe that would be a good reload level. Congratulations on that short. Probably a couple $100 in the money, depending on when you took it.
Leroy
FLYE.
Chandler with FLYE, and why not for Firefly Aerospace? I guess, look, hot sector lately for sure. It's been okay. I mean, it's a good move. I guess you said you sold some today. Why not? I mean, sometimes it's just about ringing the register and feeling good about it when you do so. So this one, pretty clean, very clean off the 50 period on the daily. I think we talked. I forget which guest mentioned this one last week, but somebody did. It wasn't one of us, I don't think, off this 50 period, but a good little breakout happening on FLYE. It's a bit of a W pattern if you squint hard enough, or if I do that, like really condense it, there's your W, and it's breaking out that top here at about 35 even. So Firefly in the midst of a break, but when you get to a spot like that, I never mind. I'm one of those that has no issues taking profit at some of those highs. So congratulations. That one's working for you. All right, Intel's trying to break through the low. Once it fills the gap, I want to jump out, tighten the stop in to break even now that it's retested that low. And for BM&R, as long as Bitcoin does not break the low of the day, I'm still thinking this is a VWAP play. And that came close enough to that dreaded line. It's just a line on a chart. VWAP is nothing more than a line on a chart.
Wow.
It's an important indicator, but just because I think it's headed all the way down there, I should also respect this is strong and this is holding trend. So 1, 2, trend, hold, which means I do need to jump out if it breaks higher, but I can add to this or actually just get back into the trade if it ends up breaking the trend line. The all-day trend line is more important than this little trend line here. One more super chat, or another super chat, I should say, from VWAP. Again, that you know what. Good morning, gents. Do you mind having a quick look at AAOI? Is it pumped full of air and just hasn't burst and sunk yet, or is it for real? AAOI. I mean, that's kind of a
optoelectronics
there. Like, is it pumped full of air? I'm not here to give you a fundamental play
Helium?
On something. Technically, I can, because we actually, I've called this one up because it was obviously a bit of a runner recently. Here's what I see. Regardless of what you call this pattern, call it like a flag or pennant or whatever it is. Like, you've got a bullish chart with like this like declining lows and declining highs. Well, last I checked, usually that means you buy the support on the bullish move, which is a 50 period. But if it can break out of this channel upside, and this is a daily chart, so it has to show something on the daily, not just sort of wicked on the daily. It needs to close above and open tomorrow. You've got a bit of a breakout pattern, but that's above the top of the channel. It's literally hit the top of that channel and respected it today. And sometimes you see that happen where you've got resistance and the daily chart's showing you the resistance. That's exactly where it topped out. Am I saying it's going all the way back to the bottom? No, I'm just showing you that's what the pattern has been in the past for AAOI. So fundamentally, you have to make your own fundamental decisions. All I can do is look at the chart.
Okay, Obi just stopped beside us. We're getting ready for Obi and Joe on the midday, so get ready for that. C will be in at noon. Lots of fun stuff. They'll get some polls up. Maybe the Stone Cold music might hit at sometimes there during the... Stone Cold's getting ready in the back. It's Stone Cold getting ready back there. But we're gonna right now figure out, Stone Cold needs to eat. You gotta put something down that gullet if you're just gonna be smashing beers all day. So shout out to everybody doing that hopefully not on a midday on a Monday, but
well, it's 5 o'clock.
To each their own. It is wine o'clock somewhere, as my wife likes to say as well. Right there. Okay, so today's lunch. All right, the flag is a good one. It's a U.S. flag.
So
the U.S. flag has led to fried chicken in the past with sides of mac and cheese.
Fried chicken.
For God, that's it. That is.
You know what? It had to happen eventually. We had a good run without it. It's been a while. It had to happen eventually.
Today's meal with the American flag. Garlic buttered baked tilapia. Roasted veg, Cajun. This is why the American flag.
Yeah, I see you're trying to bring this back.
This is the American flag aspect. We're going down south.
Cajun
roasted. It's funny because have we not had Cajun tilapia before, I believe?
Yes, and this time it was a different flag.
So this time we're choosing garlic butter baked tilapia with the Cajun roast potatoes and a garden salad. Hallelujah, your boy is on the salmon.
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, so I'm on the salmon, so we'll have that today. But thank you to the caterers. But it's a U.S. flag, so today we say, "Oh Canada," because it was salmon last time, the fish for Canada, and today the U.S. gets farm-raised tilapia. So shout out to that one. And
at least it's farm-raised. That makes it.
It doesn't say that, but I'm going to assume it's not fresh tilapia. Okay, so that's that. And welcome everybody to the show where we also discuss what's for lunch. And that's what that was. What's for lunch today? Garlic buttered baked tilapia. You know what? I bet you it's going to be one of the best tilapias of your life, Neil.
You know what?
And
probably not,
think
but you do have to think positively. The markets are trying to think positively, and despite did we hold on? Let's see how the poll is doing. I don't think I actually closed it. Now that I think about it.
Brendan just ran to the kitchen. He wants to get 2 pieces before everybody
where'd the poll go?
Oh no, you have a poll. By the way, oil's SLV's coming back a little bit.
Yeah, we're bouncing off the lows, but I'll end the voting right now. Again, it's just 50-50. This has been really indicative of all of our. Anytime we ask about the market, we're not getting any decisive action here. 52% say we hold on to gains, and 47% say no. So we're still, I don't know what to tell you, we're still bucking that 50-50 trend. The market's bouncing off the bottom. That's probably enough of a gap fill. So I'll respect the fact that this is as far as we're going. Here's the NASDAQ. Bouncing off the lows is to quickly give you an indication of why I'm sort of punching out. And you're seeing the same thing in USO. USO just keeps bouncing 137 to 138. So I feel like when it gets back up to the highs, that's probably a spot to look for reloads on the shorts. And when it's at that 37, I guess bounce out. BMNR broke that initial trend, got close to VWAP without breaking it. Now I'm looking for the all-day trend break, which could happen. But that'll be, I think that's the next trade for me. If we get another short to pop in Intel, fair enough. But BMNR seems like breaking the all-day trend will be the next play for sure. Stock Ed, where's the lobster for lunch?
Exactly.
That would be.
I had lobster. I had some lobster.
I don't think we're ever getting lobster. Let's be real. We're not getting lobster from the caterer.
No. We gotta get some super chats together. We can order.
That is not happening.
I had some lobster last week. It was very tasty. Okay, just real quickly here. We are about to go over to the midday show. More outs there on SLV. It really absorbed the 50-period moving average, so we'll fly out of that one. We're still waiting for lower. I mean, if we get it, great. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Our stop still remains at 66.20. Because I'm going to scramble, we'll come back after the gym and relook at it. I'm not going to take NVIDIA right now, but it's making its move back higher. If anything, and it does look a lot like some of the other charts we've seen here where we've made that early low, came back and retested again, and now higher. So I actually think that potentially that short, you guys judge it for yourself, almost like this short better right now with Intel. Intel's got really excited early and popped through to 52.50. Now you're down $2 from that. That's down 4%. You know, down $2 on 50 is 4%. So you're down now 4% from its intraday high. That's not necessarily like a recipe for success here for Intel. Like, why would it be down? There was some sort of a story there about Google, and I don't know exactly. Trump was just making comments, and there's nothing. Apparently, he was at an Easter egg event. So that's cute. I don't think he's talking about anything right now about that. There is a prepared remarks coming from him at 1 p.m. So Joe and Obi will be all over that one. Sia should be here to talk about that with you guys as well. But what about Intel? Still trying to bleed a little lower here into the close of this show into the next. So watch out, guys. Obi and Joe, watch out for Intel. That could be a decent look there as well. And then just for something else, this is maybe an Obi trade. Meta has made a move back in. Watch out for retracement back up here into VWAP. I actually would really like this short between 78 and 78 and 79. So a little bit of a move up there for Meta, I think gets me short right into a decent level, supported by some key levels with VWAP and the 200-period moving average. So just a couple ideas, and then nothing hit for me on IBIT. You could see now Bitcoin starting to go. I wrote down the long for IBIT, but I wrote down 38.50. We didn't even get to 39. So that trade gets squashed. Silver, we're still in. And then Palantir, I like to dip into 47s, but that level didn't happen either. That went to 47.50. So it was one trade for me, and we make our daily goal on it, and that was silver. So successful morning. We'll just wait to see what brings this afternoon.
Yeah, especially after the president speaks.
Yeah.
You know, I'm expecting after you get that headline of Iran ignoring or rejecting the truth and sort of doubling down on their terms. At least that's what we're hearing. We'll get the president's response, and I think that's the next move for USO. And obviously that's the biggest real volume shock we had was that headline, and all we did is go $1 in USO, less than 1% of a move, and we're still inside the same range. So if this ends up breaking out, I think that's going to bode well, obviously, for the shorts. I'm already looking at that BM&R trend down, and if this breaks trend up, then I'll be short BM&R. And it is 11, and I know we had this thing where we try to throw over Joe's request as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's over 20 seconds over.
We're 20 seconds over. Let's go. You got Obi and Joey options. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. Good luck, everybody.